This is just me really going to the celestial bodies and communing with them to summon the 2-hour mark as Yiska wants us to do. So, with that, you can see how long we went for. Tell us how we did. Do we get the 2-hour mark?
Did we curse it? Do we
Oh,
curse it?
damn it.
No, I don't know, guys. There's
this,
not too much to talk about.
or does this land at 2:59? It's like, hey, 2 hours and 59 minutes. Look, the 2 is still there. Look.
I'm just interested, Avril. Did you have another intro in mind, and then last minute before I said that line, you just switched it and took that energy with you?
Look, it's about being spontaneous.
Oh,
you know, it's one of those things where you got to work with, you know, with what's happening right in front of you.
Right.
What I was going to start with is say the usual. Hello, welcome to another episode of TCP, episode 207, the show where I fail my first ever Wordle, and Yiska completes his first ever Wordle, but with the help of the entire podcast, including our producer.
True.
Right.
So, but you know, it's fine. We got there at the end, you know, and it was good. I hope you enjoyed that experience. It was a bit of a weird word today. To be honest, it's not a word I would think of. My word that I failed was a really easy one, actually. Now when I look back, it was just aside. ASIDE, aside. It's a pretty normal, conventional word, but I just couldn't get it. But also I didn't have any. I need Eric to be helping me. He's really good at these.
Yeah.
You know, if Eric was there, I think I would have had it. But no.
Word magician.
How was your Wordle, Joe? You do one?
No. Now that you know we've uncovered the secret to Wordle, I don't know that I should until maybe sometime in the future. It would probably do me some good. Getting the brain firing and not
raise your literacy a little bit, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Most certainly. These books are quite dusty, as you can tell.
I would say
not getting much use.
I would say it is absolute bullshit how many word games there are in the English language when it's arguably the worst language to get it started in. Because legitimately, like, you know how every functional, like, or like everyone that has English as their mother tongue has like a vocabulary of 20,000 words, tops, maybe like 12 more like. And then like the Oxford English Dictionary has like 250,000 words or some nuts shit. And like you see grown ass adults just like either play Scrabble or like on word games with friends, just like putting random letters, and it's always an English word, isn't it? It's always a fucking English word. Like every combination of 4 letters exists in this garbage language, and nobody knows what they mean. But I'm getting points for it, you know? Like that's why I don't understand why Scrabble is like such a big thing for Americans. I don't understand.
I mean, define big thing though.
It's like you guys play it. It's like a cultural thing that like people know of.
Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, if you don't bring out the Scrabble, really,
the ceremonial
Scrabble
board.
Are you a real American? And also, because you know you all have the 5G in your homes where the government can watch you. If you're not playing Scrabble, the FBI do show up and confiscate your citizenship. So I mean,
is FBI a word?
American?
Probably.
Does that count?
So Yiska, laser is a word, but laser is also an acronym. I don't know what it stands for, and I'm sure most people doesn't know what it stands for. But LASER, that's an acronym that became a word.
Right.
But I guess if you say the word, the letters F, B, and I, that's still an acronym. It's not a word because otherwise you'd be like Fibby. You know, you'd have to say it differently for it to be a word.
Yeah.
If you have to spell out a word, Yiska, it's not a word, is it?
No. But then again, it might as well be. It's not like you can actually pronounce most of these, or are supposed to pronounce, and then you just make up random pronunciations of words, and just like don't attach it to how it's written and whatsoever. And then it's like, oh, it's French. No, it's not. It's just your garbage.
Do you have a German scribble? Is there one?
There probably is one. It would just suck. You know, like, because we have
you'd have to have like a really big board.
It would just suck. Because no, that's not French. We're not talking about French. French, you need like 3 times the board size. I get that, but
really, I always viewed German is like a really long language.
The
Oh,
thing
you
is,
don't know that when they transcribe and translate English books into French, it's like 3 times as thick.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I
It's
mean,
like you get a book from this thickness to like boom, it's like gigantic now. Like
Crazy.
you
how
would
many
also
more letters are involved?
you would also have to have like completely different evaluations of the individual letters because it's way harder in English, I guess, than to put an accent to a word. It's fucking impossible in German, and then it's much easier in French, right? Like fabuleux or whatever. It's like an X at the end, and then
I always feel like French is cheating. Like they just cut off half the word and they just don't say it.
No, Joe,
wait, that's what you guys do too.
Joe.
Really?
It sounds like you say very few letters and syllables, but then when you write the word out, it's like 3 times as long
True.
as what it sounds.
Yeah.
The word is written 3 times as long as what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that language works.
Yeah.
Joe,
I said that. What?
where's the H in hour?
At the start.
Yeah, and where's it in the pronunciation, Thomas?
I don't know, man.
I guess that it,
While we're having fun,
yeah.
while we're having fun with the English language, can I tell you the one word that is like the biggest fuck you to anybody learning English? Like this is the word you get up to when you're like you're learning English, you're trying to get a hold of this language. You get up to this word, you just give up. You're like, okay, this language is actually a joke and makes no sense.
Yeah.
The word is red, which can be it's RED, but also
yes.
READ.
Yeah.
Also, READ can be used in 2 different contexts. It's literally spelled the same.
Yeah.
It's literally said the same, pronounced the same, but it can be it's 2 different contexts depending on like where it is. It's just like it is that you get up to that, and it's just the most confusing thing in the world to a non-English speaking. You're like, wow, yeah, fuck this language,
dude.
Like, what is this?
You know how many fucking German children are sitting there like with their vocabulary test, and the teacher goes like, "Spell there." And everyone just starts profusely sweating. It's like, which of the 3 fucking things does he mean? Like, and it's always wrong.
Good that you know that there's 3. There's a large population of the planet Earth that doesn't even know there's 3. They might not even know there's 2. They only just use the 1. They don't even know there's different theirs.
Yeah.
So you're ahead of the curve already. So those German kids, they're ahead of the curve. It's not even their main language.
Nope.
There are people who only speak English that don't know the difference between there, and there.
And apparently,
I can be one of them.
54% of them can't even read past the level of the 6th grade, which I also learned today.
Joe, tell me about that stat a little bit. That's from your country. What's going on there?
That it is. As the representative of this great nation, I would like to say, fuck reading. We have money. I don't know. Like it's bad. It's rough. Even I mean, we talked kind of about this prior to the show. It's always like a very poignant memory of like, if for any Americans listening, if you've ever like gone through the school system and played like popcorn, where you like have this book that you're supposed to be reading in English class and you basically throw a ball around and the person with the ball has to like read for a little bit until the teacher basically deems that your time's up and you need to throw it to somebody else. That's how you kind of get participation in that class. The amount of like kids that like had to like stammer through like books like The Crucible and like Huck Finn, it was depressing to say the least. So
you know, actually, that I think about it now, it's fucking hilarious. Like I just imagine Joe like writing in his, one of his article, and it's like, all right, copy, paste this Socrates quote. Fuck 5 of you. I just cut off the ability of 50% of you to perceive this article in any meaningful way.
I remember, and this is, I hate to get into like how the sausage is made for a second, but I have to like get this off my chest. There was like a part very early on when I was writing, or when I was kind of starting writing, that I like challenged myself to like use a new word each article that I like didn't know. I was like, oh, let me like expand like my vocabulary. Let me use new words. The amount of people who are like, this is written like somebody who is very smart. Like, oh, that's not, I don't understand what that means. I'm just like, I mean, I get it, but like, bro, I guess I shouldn't do that.
The worst,
so hard.
The worst the education system you guys have fucking like deluded yourself into, and like you won't find anyone in any meaningful capacity in Germany to stand behind this is that good writing is when everyone understands it. Fuck off. That's not true. That is simply not true. right? Like, I guess it is preferable that you're not excluding anyone in the comprehension.
Of course,
Some things are just not possible to like explain. And you know how you fucking like what's the physicist that won a Nobel Prize is like and is known to be a pretty good educator. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I need a little bit more, bud. I need a little bit more.
Feynman, yeah. Like, see, Eric, Eric got me. You know how he has this quote attributed to him saying like, well, if you can't explain it to the layperson, you don't understand it enough.
Sure.
Never said that, of course. Like, that's straight fabrication. Like, actually, very much the opposite is the case. He said, like, some shit is just not explainable, you know? But it is copied to impossible degrees. And, like, no. Like,
was that ever said ever, or is that just attributed to him?
Yeah, that's just attributed to him. Like, also, dude, there is this this editor that also, like the text editor, a program that just evaluates language. And it's like, whenever you get past like 6th grade level, it's just flashing red and just telling you you're garbage, basically, as a writer. And it's just Hemingway, I think it's called. Hemingway editor, of course, like after that idea. I think maybe he was the guy that shat in your collective heads, instilling that idea. But I don't know, like it almost takes all the beauty out of it. And also, like, especially to someone educated in like general German like curricula, it is absolutely. Oh yeah, there's an example. I'll just bring that up. Like, nobody gives a fuck about ease of a language in the kind of books we read and whatnot. Like, we are absolutely going to have you read Goethe and like fucking I mean, Kafka in terms of language is easier, even though I guess like understanding it is much harder. Yeah. But like in terms of language, you're fucking lost as a child at that age, like trying to understand Goethe and Schiller and whatnot. Nobody gives a fuck. Tough luck. Deal with it, dude. Like, these guys notoriously hedged things under 10 million different metaphors. That are impossible to perceive in today's day and age. It's just the way, like, you just try to foster an appreciation for language there. And yeah, I don't know. That's one, like, I also used necessarily as I professionalized and sort of like made this my full-time occupation. I had to budge and say, yeah, okay, I'm writing for that level. Like, a portion of 30% and greater who read my articles, the majority or the biggest portion of that are coming through me. I guess I gotta sort of like write for you guys now, but my God, was it like a process that also like a lot of like even friends just told me, oh, that's straight garbage. Like, nobody understands this point. I was like, okay, I just hate you.
It was very academic at the start, I would say.
Yeah.
I didn't foresee that, you know, a discussion about language could get this intense between two people that do writing for a living. But it's short-sightedness on my part, I understand. But you know, look, okay, from Feynman to the layman, and you know, from us now going over towards some of the actual topics of today, because obviously nothing has happened. Nothing at all has happened at all on the internet this past week. I've looked at Twitter. No, there's nothing there really. It's just empty, fully empty. So
Head empty.
Yeah, there's just nothing there. My brain has been drained. My head is empty right now.
There's great white noise out there right now, but otherwise, like, it's definitely a palate cleanser.
Best tweet I saw this week was from known Overwatch meme Pharaoh, who said, what did he say? He said, I'll get it out there. Every time I open this cursed app, I take psychic damage. I'm like, bro, that's some truth right there. That is some truth right there. And I'm like, yo, dude, the only way to succeed at your saving throw is by deleting this app. I've been failing for years. DC 30, nearly impossible. That's a D&D joke for people that don't understand. But yeah, look, so we're going to be talking about some Overwatch stuff today, what little Overwatch stuff there is today. of which I think I say this every week, and somehow it's still a 3-hour episode. So I don't know. I feel like the less news there is, the longer the episodes are, like the more we have to talk about.
Because we're
I
not
feel like
guided.
I'm
the
manifesting.
more we say there's nothing to talk about, the more there actually is to talk about. Strangely enough,
We'll find
So-
things.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens today. Let's kick things off. Episode 207, as usual, brought to you rather by our lovely patrons. Battle Crab, Refine Bean, Bronzebot Boohout, Char8, Prophet Picasso, Chris R34444, Kesha67, Lolshin, Porkchop Sammy, Rex Zane, Volamels, Smooth Nuts, and Your Misery. We got an interesting one today in terms of it not being so much about rosters. We're not going to get into any real roster related topics. Usually at this point of the episode, I would say, hey, just look at the timestamps in the description and go to the team that you want to listen to. This one, it's more going to be like, maybe we'll just come back next week for that instead, because I don't think there's not enough to talk about. We got one confirmed roster move and one rumored roster move. That's legitimately it. Like that's there's nothing else there. So might as well save that for another time instead of trying to really, nitpick that away. And we're gonna do something a little bit more fun. Yiska did some interesting articles recently. If you paid attention to either his Twitter or GG Recon, or maybe even on the Comp OW sub where some of these articles got posted, but he was writing stuff about, who he felt some of the best individual players in specific roles in Overwatch 1 history were. So we're going to play a little game today. We'll have a little bit of discussion about, what we think some of the best ofs of Overwatch 1 have been over the course of Overwatch 1's history. And I mean, like, it's going to be mostly Overwatch League stuff, but I don't know. I mean, you could potentially add a little bit of non-Overwatch League stuff in there, but I think for the most part, it'll be primarily Overwatch League.
Probably,
yeah.
I think it's most fresh in our minds.
Can I ask though? Did you guys read any of the articles, or saw at least the players that are named in terms of the first four?
Yeah,
I read every single headline. Yeah.
Did you?
No, I did not. No, I know who you named. I know the players you named. Yeah.
So, I guess like most of them are not that disagreeable. I think they're two disagreeable topics, really. The first one being, what do you think about Fate as main tank?
I mean,
Well, we talked about this. We actually, you interviewed me for G Recon.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about this, like who's the best main tank Overwatch 1. And I think I even eventually landed on Fate because, I mean, he's been good pretty much the entire time. Even his bad seasons, he was nowhere near like really bad or anything. He was maybe held back by his team. He was still one of the better parts of his team at various points. I don't think he's had an extremely egregiously bad season ever. He did well pre Overwatch League as well. He was on Mighty AOD, which was a good team. And before people go back in history and check Wikipedia, would be like, "Oh, hang on a second, Mighty AOD didn't win and didn't do this stuff." You have to remember, like,
Group of death.
if you look at the group and like how, they were in the group of death. They had it was super competitive back then anyway. They were still good when you actually look at who was on the team and how many of those players ended up succeeding. By the way, Moon was coaching that team. Like, it's pretty star-studded, even though they didn't win Apex or even really make it too far. I think we can all agree it was a pretty damn good team if you just go back and look.
Yeah.
The point is, Fate ended up being probably the best main tank of this year. I'm slightly biased towards players that are better right now as opposed to players that were better in the past, because I feel like the game has evolved and the skill level has improved and evolved over time. That typically speaking, players who are better now are better than players that were there before in the past, is my thoughts on it.
Yep. It's more difficult to be in the league now. It's more competitive. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, would tend to agree. I think we probably had similar conversations, and I feel like I've mentioned publicly at least to maybe select individuals in the Discord. But yeah, I've definitely had similar questions posed, and yeah, Fate has longevity, has the skill, has the hero pool to back it up, and
Who's the runner up then?
I would say it's a pretty big gap, and then a runner up could be between.
It's got to be Super and Smurf, one of those two guys, probably.
Yeah.
Or Mano.
I know there's a certain specific group of people that are right now screaming like, "It's fearless!
Yeah.
It's definitely fearless!" I'm like, okay, you guys clearly forgot about the 0-40 season and
then not
else,
being
but-
part of Overwatch League like after that, and like not having a pre existing like pre-Overwatch League history that is any more impressive than Fate. Like you gotta show up to play ball, dude. Like that's just like how it is, unfortunately.
God, there are so many levels to what you just said there. Woo! Gotta show up and play ball, my guy. Oh man, you can really take that a few different directions. Okay, but yeah, I think it's really got to be Super or Smurf. I don't know who I lean further towards. I mean, Super didn't really play in season 1. What did Smurf do? He was on GGEA. He was on contenders.
Yeah.
I think both Super and Smurf didn't really sort of come in until season 2, right? So they both didn't really have a season 1. How do they do pre-Overwatch League? Smurf was a bench player for Ardient, which was...
Who's played Tank for Shock in season 1?
Nomi.
Oh.
No, yes, we're not playing this game yet.
Yeah, we can say that for later, you turd.
Wait, Nomi? Did Nomi actually play more than... I think it was just...
Super was underage.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
They didn't have...
So he didn't play. Yeah, he didn't play.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Smurf yet. And then... Was it season 2 they finally got Smurf or what? Am I remembering
late
correctly?
in season 1, they would have gotten Smurf.
Late, but he only started playing in season 2.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So both Super and Smurf only started playing in season 2, which is the year they won. And that was Smurf's rookie season as well, if I'm not mistaken, because it was the first season he actually played. Yeah, I gotta say it's one of those two guys because, and I don't know which one because they're both pretty even to me. And even now, it's like, you know, they both had pretty respectively even playing time for the most part. They have equal titles in the Overwatch League. I don't know. It's a tough one. I almost want to give it to them equally. It's hard to pit them against each other almost because they were so close knit versus each other in terms of who got the playtime and who's better.
I would, just to throw in another name that I feel like is probably being screamed at us in the comment section, or at least in the as a viewer. I think just using the metrics that Yiska's kind of provided with like titles won, relative skill, placing, all that stuff. I feel like Gesture kind of has to be up there, right? I don't like it either, but
oh, there's people yelling, but from two different angles, from two different sides. There's people yelling like, "No, don't say Gesture. It can't be Gesture. He's a meme." And then there's other people that are like, "Yeah, but Gesture's really accomplished." You're gonna get both.
Yeah,
you're gonna get both at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think
kind of undeniable.
You're actually not wrong. Gesture has to be there. Overwatch League champion, Overwatch League runner-up, Apex champion.
It's got quite the trophy case.
You know, Widowmaker 1 versus 1 champion versus Ren.
True.
What I mean, they just got to add to the list, really. I mean, that's just so much there already.
Is definitely on the pantheon of Overwatch 1. You gotta put him up there. You gotta give him some respect.
Yeah,
I take him over Fearless.
Can't deny it.
Who?
As I said, I take Gesture over Fearless and like
a
Mount Rushmore.
That's an easy choice to make.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be easy, but I don't know that many people would be willing to make.
No,
that
you are
because
getting killed for that.
Yeah,
because Fearless has played a much better season than Gesture this year. 100%. Like, no one can take that away from Fearless. I back that 100%. Like that's a statement I back. Fearless had a great year. Make no mistake about it. It's just like when you consider the entire history of Overwatch 1, you got to put things into context a little bit. And this is even me who just said I generally value like more recent gameplay more favorably, but even then, when you combine that with historical achievements, I mean, Gesture still got him beat.
Dude, that was the worst part when people accused me of recency bias for saying Fate. Like, that's just nuts, man. Like, arguably, he was as good in Season 1 as he was in Season 4.
Who accused you of recency bias for saying Fate? People who only started watching this year?
I don't know.
It feels like it has to be because I mean, anyone who paid attention to other years that Fate existed, you can't be saying a recency bias. My guy has a stage title as well. Yeah. He was good in Apex. Yeah. You know, he's been good the whole way through. Even
in that,
he was a shining spot on Mayhem when they were famous. You know what I mean? Like,
look at the contrast of post and pre, of Fate's Mayhem and then post Fate Mayhem, without too many changes, right? Like, it is pretty remarkable. Like, even if you don't want to give everything that happened to the Mayhem to like Fate missing, there has to be some of it, especially when the guy that had to do pretty much the same thing, meaning being the one main thing that has to cover the whole roster for that crumbled under that pressure, right? Like, I feel like people are way underestimating how important it is for your main tank to be
I can say
flexible.
that Fate was the best this year. Yeah, I think most people should agree, most reasonable people should agree that Fate was the best main tank of this year in 2021.
I agree.
And so, I mean, even if I just look at that right now, I'm thinking, well, he's the best currently, and I do value recent results higher because I think, again, to reiterate, players who are really good right now are better than players who are really good in the past. But I still have to take into account, prior performances and titles and all this other kind of stuff, right? So, yeah, I think no disagreements from me on Fate.
Right. And I guess the second thing, and I think that's a fair discussion to have. I made the decision to not differentiate between hitscan and projectile DPS in Overwatch, thinking that there is not really a functional difference in the top echelon of players that will be eligible for those awards. Okay? So, while I generally agree that mediocre or rather average DPS players generally fall into the categories of hitscan and projectile.
Yeah.
With projectile also often encompassing like a tracer. Even there, I would give that. Even though, once again, that's already maybe a slight smudge on like how clean you want your projectile and hitscan to be. But it absolutely doesn't apply to Flatter. It doesn't apply to Profit, right? It doesn't apply to Decay. Like, it just doesn't work at the highest level, right?
Yep.
There's also players, funny enough, that don't fit in either category. Like, there's some players whose hero pools are so interesting and strange. I guess Mirror is the one to talk about here, who's like, he's difficult to even categorize. Like, what is it? It's hard to say. So the whole hit scan projectile thing has been so messy over the evolution of the game as far as what it actually means. That's yeah, it's hard to properly categorize anymore. And like you said, it's got all the best players. Feels like all the best players have some sort of like ability to, be in either category at either time.
Yeah. Dude, do I trust that Sparkle could play a banger Widowmaker? I think he could. Like, if you had to, and you sit him down and let him practice.
I actually don't think he could. No, I actually don't think he could. I think he's a really interesting case where like he's a very, very projectile guy. I mean, maybe I'm underestimating him a lot, but this year would have been the year for him to prove if he was going to be that guy. Because I feel like Dallas, for the entire year, to be fair, I think they all got lucky in some ways where they all just played around the fact that, well, we don't have a hit scan, so we're just going to run hit scan. And then it turned out that hit scan wasn't going to be important anyway. And partially that could have just been because Dallas were leading the meta in anyway, where, because they're the leaders of the meta, people are copying them and people are being influenced by them. So if they are not playing hit scan, then everyone's like, oh, well, guess we're not playing hit scan. I mean, that's generalizing and a little bit. It's not 100% that way, but I don't think it's wrong to say that teams who are at the top of the table generally kind of influence other teams as far as what is quote unquote meta. But I think this would have been a year where if Dallas really wanted to play hit scan and they didn't have XC available, somebody like Sparkle or Doha or somebody else had to really step up there. Sparkle tried as far as Tracer goes, and the Tracer eventually started to get quite good. He did struggle in hit scan. Doha struggled in hit scan. All their DPS struggled on hit scan. Like, it just wasn't something they were really good at. It's just that skill set just wasn't there for them. And I'm not saying it has to be, but no, I don't see that personally. For me, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see him as someone that could be like some real monster hit scan when this would have been the year that he could have needed to do that, and it just, I don't know, it didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, my point, or why I believe that to be true, was I already thought that about him playing Tracer, and then he actually became a really competent Tracer statistically, like with the best of them, had insane bomb usage, which makes sense for a projectile player, I suppose. But
Tracer has overlap with Genji. with
Yeah.
playstyle.
Yeah.
Just some overlap, yeah. Whereas Widowmaker is so outside
Yeah.
of that skill set, it's very different, right?
Yeah, I could see that. Even though I will say, I feel like a lot of people think Widowmaker is this like Taimu flick-esque gameplay when it isn't. Like Ans wasn't nuts for his hand like hand-eye coordination. Like he just had insane crosshair placement. Yes, he had pretty good reactions. He had great movement with his aim. Like his fundamentals just worked incredibly well. It wasn't that he like sat there and just like 180 people all the time. Like, well,
yeah.
So, I think like despite this game being pretty arcadey in terms of like the aim styles you need to apply, I think there's still a bunch of honing you could do without needing, that specific gene that lets you flick with incredible accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Agreed. Cool.
So I mean that's why I it felt kind of like cheating once you allow me to have that argument. I think there's almost no way you couldn't say Prophet and Fleta deserve it if you grant me that there's no categorization.
Did you actually give two answers, or is it more like Fleta number 1 then Prophet number 2 kind of deal, or is it like equal Fleta Prophet?
Yeah, that's also a thing where I made it sort of like easier for me. Like if I had to say, I think probably at a point where Fleta could be considered above Prophet, but I'm not sure.
What did you specifically say though?
No, I didn't.
Like that?
I just rated them in my article. It's just like
equally
on par. Yeah.
Like
Okay. No differentiation necessarily. Also, didn't really do any ranking of the runner-ups or anything like that.
I think in the Overwatch League, Fleta, especially this year with the championship win, has overtaken Prophet. But if you want to account for pre-Overwatch League, Fleta didn't do anything pre-Overwatch League. He was on one of the worst teams pre-Overwatch League and just kind of bombed, whereas Prophet was on one of the best teams. He was on the best team of Apex at the end of Apex, right? And he managed to take that momentum with some difficulty into an eventual win in the Overwatch League Season 1.
That's also like an undervalued aspect of like best, I think. People don't understand it is like it is absolutely your choice to be on a team as shit as Flushlocks. Like if you demonstrate skills to the level that Fleta did since Season 2,
it
is on you to get back up on your team or to like switch teams, right? Like if I'm Carpe, I am
really late.
Yes, yeah, towards like the soul move with like Lunatic High and whatnot. But
yeah,
if I'm Carpe, I have responsibility that my roster either looks great or and have that as an assurance while I sign that contract, right? Like I'm now expected to do more than like you're crafting your legacy. You're not counting on everyone else outside just doing their job. If you go through like sports history, like every one of the great players has roster input, right? Like, and that's how it should be. If you're a superstar, you definitely have more say in your organization. And that's how, like, we heard about Prophet, right? Like him doing that for this.
I think that's very different to like a Flashlux type team, which is not an org. It's just a player-run team, as far as I'm aware. And you could argue that means he has even more agency to have roster control. But
right.
I don't know. Like it's on some level, it's a bit of a losing battle as well. And like the correct move was just to join Lunatic High, which he did eventually, but he only did after Apex kind of ended. Which is maybe not his fault. Maybe that's just when Lunatic High had an opening, which is potentially true. And that's just the way it was. I don't know. I don't want to hold his pre-Overwatch League stuff against him too hard. No. But if you have to compare him against Prophet, it's inevitable that you have to make that comparison because they both played in the same era of pre-Overwatch League, and one of them did way fucking better than the other one.
Yeah. Despite being around less long, right? Like GC Busan
Yeah.
just only became like a relevant thing really in season 4 of Apex.
They were like a rookie challenger type team.
Yeah.
They were.
They came through like Apex challenges or something.
Yeah.
They were like a completely unknown team,
Royal
super
Roaders.
underrated.
Yes.
Literally Royal Roaders, and they just
Yep.
came in and just surprised and demolished everybody. It's kind of crazy.
And it's fun to go back and look at that because we go back we talk about Gesture and Prophet as this duo, and we talk about GC Busan as like this the best team by the end of Apex, but they weren't even like, because I remember looking at challengers and like judging that. I mean, kind of like just taking a scope of what they were up to in the amateur division in Apex, and like yeah, they seemed good, but they didn't seem like world beaters. They didn't seem like the team that was going to come into the playoffs and beat Lunatic High twice and then go to 7 games against Runaway and do all this crazy shit. Like they look like an average, above average playoff team that maybe could compete, but like, were they going to upset, you know, this legendary figure-esque team that have won back-to-back titles against the odds? Like probably not. And then you get to see them in the playoffs in the I think group stage 2. They beat Lunatic High twice. They're smacking everybody, and it's not close.
No, that
and
run
like
was also nuts.
It was just so. It was a different team. It was so completely different. I don't know if it was like the synergy really clicked between Prophet and Gesture. It sure as hell wasn't Hureg, God bless him, but
no.
Like
he played a super reliable soldier in a meta where it was
he was
Trace
fine.
Soldier. Like he
was the most fine. His McCree probably or Cassidy.
Who needs to play that hero? That was all about soldier. It was Trace's soldier the entire way through. Like you just need to have a good soldier, and that's it. And he had a very solid soldier. And that's just he did his job.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was basically ending there, but like, yeah, I think people underrate Hureg a little bit on that team.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a superstar by any means. I will say, someone that's now relevant again, Booyal. He was probably one of, if not the best off tank during that era when Matrix was still lasting longer.
Yes.
Kid was nuts, and then somehow fell off a cliff. I mean, yes, you had to compete against Fury, which is like, that
was a surprise. No one expected Fury to be that good. So I mean,
yeah,
true.
Yeah,
unlucky, I guess. You ended up having to compete with some guy that no one knew was going to be one of the best.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
That happened.
But Wooyal definitely had like a whiplash of a career, going from like, oh my god, this kid's like obnoxiously good, like Tracers Beware, to
dude,
Wooyal.
Yeah.
Both Seoul and Dallas in season 1 went through a bit of a whiplash of a year compared to where they came from. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. True.
So yeah, I think Flitter Prophet, good shouts. I think they're probably the most worthy of that kind of title. I'm trying to think like how many other players. I mean, we've had some really good DPS players over time.
Oh yeah.
Before someone says it, no, it's not Carpe. Please stop.
Oh yeah. At this point, you can't
stop it. Get some help. It's not Carpe. It's not Carpe.
Bro, you're not getting an award from me if you don't win shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't give like. Am I giving goat to a guy without rings? Fuck no, bro.
No. He has these flashes. He has these like moments of brilliance, and he has for a long time shown a lot of potential, but like there's nothing to show for it.
This is the ball I'm willing to play with. Like hypothetically speaking, I would be willing to give someone like Carpe an MVP award if he really just like performed super high one year and like maybe his team let him down, but he was like undeniably the best player anyway. I'll give him an MVP, but I won't give him a GOAT. I'm saying like
definitely not.
You ain't getting a GOAT from me, but I'll give him an MVP. Like those are two separate things to me.
Yeah,
entirely.
Nowhere in the discussion.
Yeah,
I would say fucking Leave has more credence to like anywhere near a GOAT talk than Carpe ever did.
That's the thing. Like it is kind of sad, but like Leaf is one of those guys that would definitely gatekeep from GOAT contention by age.
Yeah.
And then like leaving the game. Right.
Oh, there's so many of those young players. Like you said, then leaving the game because he didn't no other choice, right?
That's the argument. And by the way, like people will say, well, season 3 wasn't that impressive. A, kind of was. B, it's kind of hard coming back from another game because he couldn't compete in the game that he wanted to play. And then coming back and trying to catch up. Like I had a talk with Hydra, and he's like, you gotta stay on top of this game in order to stay like fresh at it. Like most players I've talked to, like especially DPS players, and also that's also a thing, by the way, in every other esport. Bro, taking 2 weeks off puts you 4 weeks behind, right? Like your skills deteriorate mad fast in especially FPS games, right? And like for Leaf to eventually make it up there, like people forget, like this guy was legitimately one of the best players in the world already with miraculous youngsters who could challenge like the best teams in the world, right? Then like there's not much for him to compete for the best in the world titles. Unfortunately, like Chinese teams weren't invited too much or at all during Apex. Then like he's too young, and then he gets eventually into the Overwatch League. Yes, like had he been born 2 years earlier, I think we would legitimately be talking about a code candidate this year.
Well, he's also gatekept by the fact that he can only play for Chinese teams.
Yes,
not because he can only play for Chinese teams. He could play for any team, but only Chinese teams will take him. That probably changes a bit now. I'm sure. Like if he was a free agent right now, and some North American teams like, bro, I think we can get leave. I think they would. It's crazy how like to think for a North American team to finally pick up a Chinese player, it literally has to be the best fucking player in the world. No, I didn't say best Chinese player. I said best player in the world.
Yeah.
Like that's the level it has to be at to even like consider getting a Chinese player. So Leave probably could get on a non-Chinese team now, but prior to that, I mean, like any other Chinese player, you're literally gatekept to only playing on Chinese teams.
Yeah.
Whereas North American, Korean teams, they can play wherever the fuck they want.
Look, and I'll also say, no, it sounds elitist as hell, but if you want to be my definitive GOAT, I kind of want you to learn English or Korean at that point as well in order to advance your chances of getting there. If you actually want to be the best in your profession, you're looking at the overall scene and you're developing yourself in all aspects of this.
That's tough, but yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think.
How good's Flitter and Profit's English right now? I have no idea.
They don't have to be. They don't have to be. Like over 50% of the dudes that are playing, and most definitely most of the guys that are good enough. Like it's not fair. Nobody said it's fair, but
True.
like sometimes, like you gotta overcome these odds, unfortunately. And
if you want to not get gatekept, then that's one of those. But then even then, like I would promise you that like you could get players. A Chinese player that speaks like super fluent English, and even then, I don't know, someone's like, nah, but I just can't be fucked dealing with visas or X or Y visas, and they still wouldn't get, they still wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
So
no, not
who
even
else isn't the GOAT?
Who else isn't the GOAT?
Yeah, like who, like project your, take your mind palace to r/ competitive Overwatch for a moment. Who is like the masses saying like this is our GOAT? It's Sparkle, it's Fearless, who is not the GOAT?
Can't be Sparkle because this guy was also underage for half the game's life.
Yeah.
It can't be anyone who's underage.
It can't be Striker, bro.
It
can't be Striker. Shut the fuck up. It can't be Striker. Dude, how is the GOAT fucking 50% of the time not playing? That's not a GOAT. Like, if you can get rings by not playing, you're not GOAT. It's just not true.
Striker didn't even play Apex. He played Apex challenges with Gogori on Rock's Orcas. He never even made it to Apex. He's got 0 titles pre-Overwatch League. He didn't win a stage title with Boston. Like
he was. I will be pedantic and say that he was in Apex. He was very bad, or like very like.
Did Rock's Orcas actually play Apex?
Yes.
Apex.
Yes, they were in Apex proper in Apex Season 4. Yes, in Apex Season 4, because they had Legend, who shout out to Albion, who pointed out to me that their main tank played Pharah. Shout out.
Okay, fine. I stand corrected. I'm willing to be incorrect here. Rock's Orcas did play. They were in Group C with with that Freak of Freaks, LW Red, and Championship Team GC Busan. So on one hand, you have the real GOAT Prophet on GC Busan. On the other hand, you have fake GOAT Striker on Rock's Orcas on that same group.
Fantastic Tracer. Good DPS player for a good port of Owl, but come on. You got to be kidding me.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference between Prophet and Striker, especially in Season 1, where everyone brings up the Boston 10-0. Tell me how many of you thought that Striker and his team would go 10-0?
Yeah.
I'll wait. Oh wait, none of you did. The answer is 0% of you did. Tell me
Oh,
how many of
boy.
you thought that Prophet would have been one of the best players in season 1? Probably a
0.
reasonable number, actually. Probably a reasonable number of people would say that Prophet was expected to be one of the top players. None of you even knew who Striker was in season 1.
yeah.
You're talking about him like he's the GOAT. Like, the fuck? None of you guys are like, we're like changing history here or something. Like, come on. Like, Jesus Christ, people. We're not going in a time machine here. You didn't even know who he was. This guy had zero reputation because didn't have anything. And no one even picked him up. This was Boston season 1, where Huck basically scored as many overlooked players as possible, and some of them were fucking banging, but no one else even looked at those players, and Striker was one of them. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying, like, I think people like have just somehow deleted the real history of what happened and just kind of invented some bullshit.
Guys, like, okay, so Striker's the GOAT. So his team won 2 titles? Sick. So you got MVP both seasons? No. Finals MVP? No. Rollstar? I think once. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, it just doesn't work. Just doesn't.
How do you feel? Okay, close your eyes. How do you feel about the name Jonak?
Nah.
Does that inspire any kind of GOAT aspirations?
He has nothing pre-Overwatch League.
No.
Zero.
Literally nothing.
Nothing pre-Overwatch League, which isn't like an absolute like killer for me. Because if you were like excellent over the 4 years, then
but they were supposed to play.
Yeah, but like it was real quiet after season 1. He was still like probably a top 5 flex support for the majority of that time. It's just like, once again, you gotta have a good team around you, dude. Like, or you gotta make moves in order to get somewhere else, right?
You think he stayed with New York for too long, I guess, in that same way?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Like that.
Maybe he feels like the soul move earlier.
Where could he have gone? Let's.
I mean, you can't. How do you do the soul move earlier? Like, both teams have to want that, you know.
Oh, or yeah, of course.
I'm sure that whatever he signed up for, New York were very interested in holding onto his contract as long as they could.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
Not like he was like, oh, I want to stay on New York, unless he literally. I don't know what the status is. I don't know if he re-signed or not. But if he was signed for a duration with New York are not going to get rid of one of their best players.
Of course.
So
100%.
he's with New York whether he wants to be or not.
Yeah.
That aside, I think it's very difficult to unfortunately, there's going to be bias against supports, but it's like hard for a support to be in the GOAT conversation. It's even hard for a tank to be in there.
Yeah.
Because, like, whether people like it or not, like, DPS has the most visible impact and has some of the most visible invisible impact as well. So I guess the most invisible impact, they just have the most impact as you would expect from DPS.
So my thing is, okay, this sounds super hypocritical because I didn't even give him best off tank, right? But I think if you talk GOAT, you gotta bring up Void, like in a discussion. It's just too long, man. He's been too good too long. Like, again, like I already pointed out, it's basically 1A for 1B for me. I sort of like concede that I don't possess necessarily like the ability, neither does most of us, to judge like the full skill level of tanks, just because, like, I mean, you would have to rewatch it, like everything from his POV or from the relevant player's POV for the majority of the time, and you just don't get a lot of first person of tanks. But like, dude, Void was probably the best off tank in the world in Apex Season 2. Like, between Apex Season 2 and like, or was it? I guess it's more Apex Season 3 that we're talking about, right? Like KDP era.
Yeah, I think that's when he joined KDP.
Right.
It was Season 3.
Yeah, I think was he on
he wasn't on Season 2.
Okay.
I don't believe so. I'll look.
Half a year difference. But
yeah,
like,
agreed.
And then now this year he probably was the best off tank once again, right? Like, that shit is nuts in terms of longevity. Also, probably like underestimated in his stay with the Gladiators as well. Like, honestly, it almost felt like they kind of fucked up when I saw the initial roster of the Spitfire, not having Void on there felt kind of like they fucked up. But I think if you gotta talk GOAT, you gotta talk Void. I guess you gotta also talk Choi, dude. Like, I don't know if he might be a little... Like, when I talk to some coaches about Choi, they're like, oh, he's a little bit overrated. I don't think so, man. Like, during GOATs, he was nuts. He wasn't as flashy nuts, but, like, super smart about this shit.
I think there were definitely times in Choi's career where he looked very suspect and then, like, had the ability to actually, like, improve tangibly throughout the season. Like, I remember his Sigma was dog water. And then by the end of it, it was genuinely good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would I don't know if I'd put him in GOAT conversation, but definitely like at his role, maybe like the best of list.
Okay,
sure.
Joe, give me the ammunition to get out of this. So how do I tell the public that Void might be my GOAT, but he's not the best off-tech of all time? Can I pull that off? Can I lie to the people?
Wow, that is crazy. Jesus, there's some gymnastics going on there.
You'd have to really lay out some definitions, and he's your GOAT, but not... I mean, I guess if you're looking at like GOAT from like a longevity perspective and like didn't end on top, I guess maybe you could have some sort of argument, but that's not where Void ended. He ended on top.
Yeah.
So like that one's hard. That one's that's some mental gymnastics. I'll side with AVRL on that.
Yeah.
You gotta like, how high
get the powder ready, boys. Let's go.
You're doing some mental backflips on this high beam currently. Like, how do I work this out?
I just need I need a backdoor, dude. Like I know I can't pull it off, but if there's an argument, some way, maybe. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the thing is, bottom line is, we don't have a satisfying GOAT. Like, it's not even
at this point, no.
Like, in basketball, where it's like, is it Jordan? Is it like LeBron? And both of those have clear, like, great cases and like just like substantially have more accolades than everyone else. Or the vast majority of other not like this in Overwatch, unfortunately. Like, no.
And in the NFL, it's only Tom Brady, and I won't hear anything else. I won't hear otherwise.
Yeah.
When the guy has 7 rings, you really can't argue with it.
At the age he is.
Yep.
Can't. So it's like you don't have that in Overwatch yet. I think maybe down the line. It also depends because, God forbid, but like some people in the GOAT conversation could end up retiring, and just due to not because they hate the game or anything, but just due to like, I'm getting old, I need to go to the military, just anything, it could be anything. And then it could be like a Jordan LeBron situation where, they don't end up, it's not like these two guys play each other, like they're from completely different eras. And one person plays for a certain era, and the other person plays for another certain amount of time in their era, and then you have to kind of do this like mental comparison, like, oh, what's the hypothetical comparison here? Because you don't actually have a proper one. Whereas currently, at least you get to see Flitter and Prophet play against each other. You get to have that conversation currently. But
the thing is, like, I hate and I can't follow the argument of like, well, the competition now is more fierce and definitely next level. That's why, like, now it matters more. That doesn't, like, there's nothing in me that this resonates with. Why? Because, like, and I make the argument in the articles, right? Gary Kasparov. I think he was number 1 world chess ELO rating for 19 years. If you put peak Kasparov in a competition now, I don't think he would make, like, just like warp him in, not give him the same tools or whatever. Just warp him in. He might not be able to compete with the top 100. Why? Because the AI revolution just like gave so much better educational purposes for when the environment just gets like so much better that people just like can have this quantum leap of knowledge through professionalization. It is the environment that got better. It's not necessarily the individual. So like, how do you compare those people then? Right? Like, how is Kasparov not one of the greatest chess players of all time just because he wouldn't make top 100 with his knowledge base now. Of course, if Garry Kasparov was probably with the same drive, with the same like chess ability, was born nowadays and had all the access to, he probably would once again be one of the best ones. Don't even know if that's true. Maybe his specific skill set was just like prime selected against like what the environment is. But
yeah,
that's why like I necessarily have to say, yes, it is a very different environment. I don't know if it's necessarily like easier to win Overwatch League Season 1 than it was to win Overwatch League Season 4.
I don't hate the analogy. I guess my hang up is like there isn't some sort of like gigantic. Obviously there were changes, like you have hero pools and you have role lock and shit like that, but I don't see this kind of similar comparison to like this AI influx in chess. I don't see. If anything, I see the fact that like you had like very obviously weak teams in Season 1, very low competition. So while I agree, like to an extent that like you shouldn't place all of the weight on the back end of the tail and say only the most recent competition matters, at least for me, it matters a little bit more than something like later.
But relatively weak teams exist now. Like we had London, we had Vancouver, we had Valiant.
I'm looking at stuff in the top line competition. I'm not including the free wins you get to farm off the Valiant. Also,
of course, yeah.
chess has like such a long history. I mean, you can't ignore Garry Kasparov because he's had such an insanely long history in the game. Whereas like how many we've had 4 years of Overwatch League. It's just.
I mean, yes, and the problem is our small scale makes a lot of those issues worse, for sure. The GOAT discussion is the same. Yeah. Newsflash, though, this is esports. Our shit is always going to die after 10 years unless we're a fringe case where we luck out in some way, right? Like, this is just what we have to deal with.
Yeah, our time is very much accelerated. So, like, 4 years at the top is, like, still very, very good. Yeah, I mean, there are weaker teams. I don't know. I look back at Season 1 and I see a lot of just very bizarre players, very weak teams. I look at the teams now. Yes, they are weak in today's climate, but I don't know if you like transplant them vice versa, right? If you take Season 1 Mayhem and you put them now, are they even able to hang?
The thing is that my argument would be we had pretty good players in Season 1, filtered by the competitive system that we had pre-Overwatch League, meaning weekend cups where teams could like practice for several weeks in order to compete there, or Apex type tournaments where you had 2 weeks to prepare for one opponent and could make up that very particular strategy in order to counter them. Then we completely changed the environment, put it into one location in the US, had them play a fucking plethora of matches, and then you filter for, and some just weren't like aligned with that. Like we basically like Moscow 5'd half this fucking league, right?
True, yeah.
Like you can't tell me that a team as good as Dallas just fell off a fucking cliff because the game moved past them within like 4 weeks or some shit. Like between Contenders Season 0 and like Overwatch League.
I think there's an argument to be made, and like this is done with the hottest of takes, like right off the top of the head. Like I don't know how to view Envy nowadays. When you look back at like, yeah, they won Apex Season 1, they were great, they were fantastic. They come back and they do fantastic domestically. But like, is that a strong
But they also
metric?
go deep in Apex Season 2 and 3, right?
Yeah, sort of. They couldn't do certain things, but they still made it work.
And they're doing it against the environment there, right? Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like,
I mean, a lot of those guys kind of got over playing from Korea and all that kind of stuff. Like I know that was tough.
Yeah.
So things waned over time.
That's true.
I think it's just like different environments select for different people, and that misalignment just makes it so, like, if anything, I would say, I think, for instance, there are probably vastly more players competing actively in season 1 and season 2 of Overwatch. Would be my guess.
True.
Like the people that made it there probably beat more people in order to get there, and eclipse the average skill level more than what is currently the case.
I think I would definitely cede the argument. I think I kind of already have, to be honest, in my mind. Like after you brought up like after you reminded me the fact of like everybody was in the same location, everybody could practice against everybody. That we didn't have like these 2 regional bubbles. We didn't have multi regions where Europe had to only play in Europe and NA could only play in their domestic side of things, right? Like it was all centralized. All of the best players, or what we thought were the best players, were all centralized in LA. Everybody's practicing, assumedly, against everybody. Obviously, some teams not against others, but outliers aside. Yeah, I guess they could be comparative. Yeah, I guess you've changed my opinion at the very least. Yeah,
it's just,
I don't
just
hate it.
different. Like, of course, like if you tell me like, I don't know, like before, like in what's this guy called? Hosbury? Before the Hosbury flop was like a thing, when the guy invented like in jump, like in what's it called? Like when you jump over like a bar. You know, the Olympic competition where people have to jump
hurdles.
No,
high jump.
High jump, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So the like, you know that the move that now everyone makes in order to jump high is like called the Fosbury flop, right? And this guy invented the Fosbury flop, right? Probably the competition before that wasn't as fierce as it was like after the fact, like, and with the professionalization, or like as, I don't know, like, you know, like when a sport is still very fringe, I can totally see how the competition can't be the same. I think once critical mass is reached, like every era of that competition probably has some inherent difficulty to it that those who excel in that environment have to overcome. So,
do we have our own kind of like weird dilemma in esports where, because we're both a competition and a game as a service, just an entertainment product in some aspects, that like because things are always changing, like you are always grading on a separate scale? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
Like season 1 is different to season 2 and season 3. I mean, I think it's most obvious maybe in League of Legends with some of the most like recent modern history.
Yeah.
Obviously Owl, I mean, Brood War in some aspects has some very, I mean, as a game that is lauded as like, oh, it's unchanged, like there were things that the environment still changed, right? Like, you know, it's all different. So at some point you kind of have to establish eras, who is the best across the, I don't know, like it's
the same in football, dude. Like the thing is, sometimes like I'm being a little unfair to sports as well, because I don't notice how much transience there is as well, in terms of like just rule changes, like even fundamental ones theoretically sometimes.
Sure.
That just like move the needle. But like if you look at like footage from like, I don't know, the 70s, you know how hard they would get their shit pushed in by like a third level team. Like Franz Beckenbauer is standing like on the corner, just like having a chilled cup of tea while like triangulating like the way he wants to bring that flank in or whatever. It's like everyone's just way more polished and like aggressive now. Their entire lives since like 11 has been honed towards like being the best at this one thing, when some of those top competitors coming out of a bar basically running into or stumbling into a pro career. Like, yeah, I can see the argument how nowadays competition is tougher just because like by comparison, but yeah, it's forever going to be a notoriously hard difference. And maybe there our shortness even helps us, because at least we're not comparing the differences of the worlds that they're taking place in.
Yeah.
Right? So it's never going to be an accurate science for sure. But
so, anyway, back to the topic.
Right.
Shit, what are we even talking about anymore? Um, damn, your skill got me confused as shit. So, best of Overwatch 1. Uh, we talked a little bit about metas and different eras and stuff like that.
Mm.
And do we want to talk about, what were some of the best eras of Overwatch 1 or some of my favorite, like, kind of timelines of Overwatch 1 have been? Obviously, I'm going to be the kind of guy that will just say straight away, like, fuck Goats, the absolute worst timeline,
Really?
and Dive was the best,
I mean, I don't.
and, all that kind of stuff. And I'm actually going to say that, first of all, my favorite season of the Overwatch League was this most recent one because I was in it. No, but also because, no, but really because it was at the top level. It was super
Mm.
fun to watch and competitive. I'm going to forget that Valiant and Vancouver and the rest existed and all that kind of stuff. But outside of the meme teams, that was actually pretty competitive, and we
Yeah, totally.
saw some real style clashes. We saw probably the most sophisticated and evolved version of dive we have ever seen with what
Mm.
Shanghai and Chengdu were eventually doing. And even Gladiators over in the NA, right? The teams that really got into that dive, and it was just so beautiful to watch. And even then, like it felt like Ghosts, but Brawl/Rush was still pretty viable for the most part. I was dominating NA and seeing how the two different regions were developing their own metas was heaps of fun. I'm all for cross regional gameplay as well because I think that really creates far more interesting competition rather than it being so homogenized in one region. That's kind of boring to me, and it becomes super predictable. So yeah, I think like every year's competition for me improved,
Oh,
and
easily.
I look back in season 1, you had the Moth meta, nah, not super interesting, and I just didn't. I didn't. I enjoy. I think the grand finals meta, like with it being dive for the whole year was fine with me, but um, it was a really homogenized kind of league, and it wasn't super interesting for me. Season
Mm.
2 obviously was full goats, so that can just fuck right off. And then season 3 was a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, we had a bunch of different stuff happening, some double shield in there, which wasn't the best.
Mm.
Um, Season 4 though, I think was we came into season 4 off a strong meta. Like
Yeah.
even the meta preceding season 4 and succeeding season 3. So I'm talking in the season 3 to 4 off season where contenders played Gauntlet. We had almost like a kind of ball meta evolving. We were evolving
Mhm.
into a ball meta. Ash was there as well. Echo was still being played, and that just kind of evolved further with the introduction of season 4, and we just really got to see some cool stuff this year.
Mm. No, yeah, it was definitely. I would agree on a lot of those points. Like year by year, it feels like the competition has evolved. So if you're looking at it from that angle, I could see why the later ends of the Overwatch League, the Overwatch One League era, has been so successful. I obviously looking at Yiska's poll, it is surprising looking and seeing how many people view Overwatch League Season 1 so fondly.
Rose tinted glasses, by the way.
It is, and I kind of almost feel empathetic because I feel like I'm the same way with Apex, where it's like, yeah, Apex was cool, but like the rest of the world didn't really have anything. Like Overwatch kind of sucked at that point. Like competitive Overwatch wasn't doing anything during Apex, like as a whole. Like we had a really cool, nice little gem, but like as a whole, it was pretty just deserted. Like there was nothing going on. Everybody was just in a holding pattern, waiting because nobody was like willing to pull the trigger when you knew Owl was just somewhere soon. And I guess in season 1, it's kind of similar with like the sense of competition being pretty low and just like the excitement being very high. I guess in a sense it's kind of vapid, but it definitely is rose tinted glasses, 100%. Like the broadcast, there were things about it that I wish we still had, but maybe they're gone for some good. I don't know. It was fun, but I guess it depends on what you define as like your favorite. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely. So, I'm forever like torn between like Apex Season 3 and I would say Season 2 Stage 1 till 3. Um
Okay.
because I
Why
think
season 3?
no Apex season 3.
Yeah, why season 3?
I don't know, dude. Like the KDP against Lunatic High era just like grabbed me differently at the time. It was pretty intense. Just like the whole like Kong line thing. I really liked a lot of the players. Maybe it's also like just like looking at that final was like the lineup. And it's kind of cool to see like that many of those players that didn't get the W back then eventually got it.
Just separated.
Yeah. I don't know, like I really like that storyline. I remember like I wrote an article about like us going into the golden age of Overwatch in season 2. Ironically, I still feel that way, but not for the reasons I outlined. So I remember making the argument like we're about to just like leave goats behind because we're getting balance changes and whatnot, like, and that will feel really good. But it actually was good because of goats, because we stuck. Like, I'm sorry, I don't like meta diversity. I just don't. Like, I think it makes comparisons way harder. It makes I don't really care for like, for instance, okay, so what potentially could be more interesting to me is if everyone's played their style for an entire season or large amounts of the season. That could be cool. The constant changing just makes, I don't know, like it already feels so random to me who's winning and who's not in terms of the environmental impact of what everyone has to deal with behind the scenes and whatnot. And like there's so little agency in terms of like how I feel about, or I feel very strongly that teams have limited agency in their ability to win titles and matches. That the randomness of hero pools just completely destroyed my enjoyment of that.
Yeah, hero pools did suck.
So I still like, for someone that actually not only doesn't care for stomps and like bad games taking place, I can absolutely just not watch the mediocre games, and then the stomps I even enjoy. Like when one team just like demonstrates that they're so much better at the video game than even like other paid professionals. That's something I get enjoyment of. So I don't know, like the whole storyline around it with Titans and Shock was just so satisfying. The gameplay was really satisfying. The sort of like how it felt to be watching those games was really satisfying. In terms of I always use the metaphor for dance of two teams that sort of like they sort of agreed on the rules of the game and then just like try to be better at them. And that just felt really satisfying to me. I don't know. You also didn't know where it was going. There were like double getbacks, like stage 1, and then like the comeback in stage 2, and like this wild determination of that roster that had felt defeat. I don't know. Like I almost feel like the ultimate cuckening of like this storyline was just like the dumbest fuck.
Yeah.
Post-season patch in stage 4 and in the postseason. Hate that.
I mean,
people do be loving that. I don't know. Do people be loving that, or is it just developers?
Loving what?
Just like these playoff patches, because it's not just Overwatch.
Well, I don't know about like, okay, I think season 3 was pretty egregious. Like the whole hog thing was gross, but season 2 was like, God, we are so tired.
Agreed. Yes, I think that is that not like the outlier though. Like it feels like for everything else is just like we're just changing things in a big way for freshness sake, just for novelty.
I don't even think it was even like Team Force in there like, oh, we better do something for the Overwatch League playoffs. Like I don't think that was the goal.
No, of course not.
But
it's maybe just weirdly coincidental.
Is it maybe it is just a coincidence? Like, am I allowed to?
It's possible.
Give them the benefit of the doubt on that. As far as like meta homogeny goes, like I hate it, but what I do like is I like when you have a natural diversity of meta, not force. So what I don't want season 3 where you just had like, yeah, every single week we're gonna have a hero pool. That's stupid as fuck. Please no. But season 4 where we had a genuine meta diversity because teams were creative and they had different play styles and teams played to their strengths. For example, Atlanta, they played more rush, more Rhine based comps because that was their strength. They played more risk if they could. Gladiators played more dive because that was their strength and their style, and teams stuck to that. Like teams stuck. Dallas is the best example of a team that like truly stuck to what they were good in their style because they knew what their strengths are. And that's what you want to see. Like you get robbed of all of that if everyone just plays goats because goats is so dominant as a meta that if you're not playing goats, you're just making a mistake. You're just playing the game wrong, right? Is what it ends up being. So yeah, I think to me, Goats really ruined Overwatch, and it's a hill I'm willing to 100% die on. I'll die on that hill any day of the week. It's just was so awful to watch. I hated it. It wasn't an FPS game. I'm sorry, but I didn't sign up to watch a first-person MOBA. I need to see some shooty bang bang. Otherwise, I might as well watch League of Legends. Like, let me watch a real MOBA if we're gonna watch a fucking MOBA.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, Goats was kind of a sweet science. Like it was cool to see a weird, rigid. It was a fun experiment. It's not something I think was sustainable. It's not something that I think I probably still enjoyed today if it was still going on. But there's a part of me that wishes it went for a little bit longer to see if we could kill it with like that stage 3 Shanghai kind of resurgence with their own wacky stuff. But yeah, it was cool to see.
It wasn't. Hang on. I feel like that's a really inaccurate narrative. Like,
Okay.
oh yeah, Shanghai were coming in. They're about to kill goats. Like, yeah, after Blizzard and Team 4 had repeatedly tried to nerf goats in every
Agreed.
other direction.
Yes.
They targeted Brig, they targeted X and Y heroes, they did all these things.
Mhm.
It's not like Shanghai just magically figured it out one day. Like, oh look, people can figure it out. No, Blizzard were also target nerfing goats the entire time, but they were doing it in such a small and like what's the word I'm looking for here? Like they just weren't being heavy handed enough. Like
Mhm.
they were doing it in such a soft way. It's like what difference is this going to make? So you had to have the combination of all these goat nerfs.
Yep.
Then on top of that, Shanghai then going towards this more counter style because they, realized they had some strength. They had really great fire gameplay, which helps a lot. Like that's a lot to do with succeeding against goats. So you needed all of that to even have a chance of beating Ghosts, and of course they did. So congrats to them, and still one of the best series I think that we've had. But yeah, I mean it wasn't just like they woke up one day. It was like, guys, let's play
No, of
fire and
course
it'll
not.
work. Like it's this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think some people treat it that way, and that pisses me off. Like that's just not how it was.
Of course.
So
Yeah. It's
um,
a combination of creativity and looking at some of the
I just think like
trends.
this is just how every video game is. I mean, it's maybe in traditional sports, it's whatever. Like, yeah, okay, you're gonna have the same 11 versus 11, one, soccer or football ball in the middle of the pitch, and you're just gonna play ball every single time. You're gonna play
Mhm.
the 5v5 basketball, and the rules don't really change, and you're just watching the same game every time. It's kind of like okay, but in a video game in esports, the game needs to evolve. This is why, by the way, Overwatch as a franchise has been on the down because we haven't had new content. We need new stuff. Like people need
Yeah.
new stuff to watch. That doesn't mean we need a new meta every single week through artificial means like drawing a
Yes.
new hero pool, but it does mean that like if we do stick to a single meta for so long, a meta that by the way completely removes DPS players, that forcing them onto tanks and supports, just in case anyone forgot, ruining a lot of careers. Like Pine's career went into the dirt because he just couldn't play Widow anymore, couldn't play Hitscan anymore. If you weren't if you weren't a Brig player or a Zarya player as DPS, you literally had nothing to do in Goats.
Yep.
It was just like such a boring time in Overwatch. I think people really look at Goats through crazy rose tinted glass, like 2 laser glasses even. And for the people that truly did enjoy Goats, like good for you. But like, man, that's just not the Overwatch game I
Oh,
remembered
of
in
course.
2016.
Yeah. No,
That's
not
just a
at all.
totally different game. That's like a shitty MOBA. You're playing like a bad MOBA now. Like again, like I said, if I wanted to watch a MOBA, I'm gonna go and watch League of Legends. Why am I watching this? You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like,
Yep.
give me the team based FPS shooter game that I saw in 2016.
Totally. Yeah. It was yeah. I would rest on it just being a fun experiment. cool in some aspects, but yeah, not sustainable in any way. And like you said, it's just not. It's so divorced from like the original concept of the game that it had to go. It couldn't. It couldn't. It could not stay. Could not.
Yeah. I would have just liked to see it through for that season.
Yeah, I mean, knowing kind of how you look at like the seasons and looking at like what we're grading for, that's definitely something that you've been consistent about throughout the years. It's like, starting in one school of thought and then testing for it at the very end. I think is admirable. Hard to do, but
I mean, Yiska, it's not. They weren't trying to. This is a tough conversation to have. I say they weren't trying to prolong goats, but indirectly they were, because they were so soft about how they, being Blizzard, soft about how they were nerfing it. As in, they were just like, yeah, the pros will just do it on their own, and we're just gonna make Brigida's shield lower by 1. You'll go from 500 to 499 and see if that makes a big difference. I'm sure that'll be the one that destroys goats. And it's like, I think the correct way to handle that situation is we could have nipped goat in the buzz after stage 1. If balancing was done a little bit more aggressively, which is kind of how it should be, in my opinion. So this whole like, yeah, we should have kept it going for until the end. I'm like, yeah, but we shouldn't have even gone that far in the first place. Is my argument.
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be in a position where we can even talk about it going till the end of the year, because it shouldn't have even gotten that far.
Yeah, I guess you could make that argument. I think I just value consistency a lot. I will also say, like, I think once we got away from stable metas, our ability to compare players just fell off a cliff, where we can't really agree on things much anymore, which is not something I enjoy. Like, I felt like with the introduction of hero pools, statistics probably became like, nobody has figured out a way to at least present them to the public in a salient manner that they actually say anything. Like, if you look at IBM, at the IBM rankings, nobody really talked about it, but for good reason, because, I mean, those were terribly disappointing. They are almost like, if you look at the evaluation of those players, it was almost like the correlation between their performance and like map win rate, for instance, was like very high. Like,
yeah.
So player that wins a lot is good player is not something I need an engine for. But and maybe it is just this complicated. In GOATS and in Dive comparatively, or in Apex, it was much more like when you have the same compositions and mirror compositions, like, you can compare numbers much more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
or there are easier reasons as to why those numbers aren't matching up. Right, there are style differences. There are, it's more obvious why things just don't add up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's more like, yeah, I think it's just like what people value. I get that they have different tolerance for lack of novelty. Like, I don't know. Like, I also in private life, I totally can and would eat the same meal for, if I had to, 6 months, no problem. Like, I've been eating pretty much chicken and potatoes for the better part of half a year now, in some varying capacity. Of course, some not every day, but like, I don't grow, tired of most things easily. And I don't otherwise. Like, I don't know, if we're still playing Dive, then we would still be playing. Like, if you could just like play Genji Tracer Dive to infinity, that would be my ideal way of Overwatch, honestly. Mirror matches, maybe we can have some, like, I'm indifferent if we go in Ana or Zen. I don't think it's particularly too different, even though I guess in some ways it could be. But yeah, like, that's just my way of enjoying, or where I enjoyed Overwatch the most, when we had mirror compositions.
I think you'd like Counter-Strike. And for what it's worth, I do like Counter-Strike for that, because like, it's one of those games where, like a traditional sport, the game doesn't really change at all, ever. And it doesn't have, because I look, I'll be the one to also make a counter argument against my argument, which is that like yeah, like things homogenous gameplay can also be interesting. That's why you still watch basketball, even though it's the same game, decades and decades later, and every traditional sport is pretty much the exact same game as has been for like 100 years, right? That's not. I'm not saying like, oh, they need to add new characters into NFL next year. You know, we need to fucking change the meta, fellas. That's not what I'm saying, but it's just not what I signed up to. Like for a game like Overwatch,
Yeah.
that one of the key facets of the game, one of the key features of the game is in the diversity of like what you can play and how you can play it, and like the creativity behind the game.
Mm.
Having all the creativity killed is just like, it just feels so anti what the game is as an identity of the game, right?
Mhm.
Whereas I don't go into a game like Counter-Strike, I'm like, oh my god, where's all my heroes? Where's all my diverse heroes in this game? Like, I don't mind that everyone's just a carbon copy paste of different terrorists and counter terrorists. Because if I watch Counter-Strike, that's what I'm signing up to. I'm signing up to watch
Yeah.
that exact game. I'm okay with that. But I just
Makes
feel like Ghost betrayed Overwatch is how I feel.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Definitely not the expectation met when, like you said, you saw the game 2016, 2015.
Yep.
As CS has been the same for all of its nuanced changes. Definitely been the same like fun, like foundational game since its inception. So yeah, would agree. I think we're still finding ourselves with Overwatch.
I'm a big TF2 guy, and I don't mind that there's still only 9 classes. They don't need 10 classes.
Yeah.
That's not what that's not what the variety in the game is to me.
Mm.
But we're also, I don't know, we're in a position where like you're in a game that has characters and has heroes and wants to have MOBA elements. And despite me saying and admitting that the game is MOBA elements, doesn't mean I want to watch a full MOBA game on Overwatch, by the
Yeah.
way. It just means like I'm okay with the MOBA elements being there as long as it's balanced with the first person shooter elements. But like, yeah, I mean, like other MOBA games out there, you do get new characters. It is about seeing, you know, different characters on screen. In a way, I almost feel like the game Overwatch would be really good if it was a game that had way more heroes, but then you could just have like unique heroes per team and hero bands, stuff like that, and be more like an actual MOBA in a way. It's kind of ironic that I'm saying I want it to be more like a MOBA, more like a MOBA in terms of
In some
how
ways.
the hero interaction is,
Mm.
where if you pick a hero on your team, the other team can't have that. But obviously, you would need to have a lot more heroes for that to be a viable thing, and you'd have to have some overlap in what the heroes can do. Whereas the current design in here is that like everything is very unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as getting back on the topic about different eras, I enjoyed 2021 this year the most, mostly because of how competitive and diverse it was for what was viable and what was good. Like different team strategies, different styles were all viable, and everything was. And your players would say the same thing. I think stage 1 in particular was the best for it. I think, you know, if anything, stage 2
Totally.
kind of ruined it because of the hero pools, and that was a lesson that needed to be learned.
Mm.
Um, and you know, maybe now we can go back and say we didn't even need the hero pools, because at the time the most played hero was Tracer, and she was below 50% pick rate, and I think that's the first time ever that we had, you know, every single hero below 50%, including the number 1 hero picked.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of different stuff was viable, and it was just a lot of fun to watch.
Totally. And I think we found like a nice model. And this is something that I think was brought up in our Discord. But in a way, you know, the pandemic was kind of a blessing for us because we went through some difficulties for sure.
Yeah.
But I think we're starting to find that we don't need to kind of artificially change the meta. You know, location does play a gigantic role, at to Yiska's point earlier, in how the social concept of the game shifts, right? When we have teams practicing in a bubble completely, you know, 12 hours away across the world. Obviously, it doesn't take 12 hours to cross the world, but you get my point. And you have people on the west side of the world, you know, doing their own thing, and they come to different conclusions, and those conclusions are really fun and very, very different. Sometimes they're the same. Most of the time, they're so divorced that it really becomes, you know, it mimics sports in some ways. When you look at like, oh, does this divisional leader, you know, how do they match up here? You can have those entertaining thoughts that I think really grip people. On top of having strict incredible stylistic clashes. You know, anybody who's seen a boxing match or seen the UFC, you know, styles do make fights. That's the stuff that you want to, you know, sign in and pay money to see. And I think we
Yeah.
captured that finally with this season, and hopefully we can
I mean,
only refine that going into the next season.
if I'm allowed to make a kind of out there on the edge analogy, it's like if you're watching an RTS game,
Mhm.
let's just use StarCraft because it's a popular
Sure.
one. You want to see all the different races interact. If it's just, oh, it's only Terran versus Terran now, and if you're not playing Terran versus Terran, you're literally playing the game wrong. By the way, Zerg and Protoss are not viable at all. What a bullshit game that would be. You can imagine that would be completely bullshit. To me, that's exactly what GOATS was.
Yeah.
GOATS was just only one race versus the exact same race in a mirror, and no other races were viable at all. No Zerg, no Protoss, only versus Terran, and do that for 6 months. Fucking no thanks. Next, pass. Nope.
Yeah. Too rigid is never a good thing. You always want some diversity. You don't want mechanical or like this artificial diversity where you have, you know, all of these different races. You come up with new races, you come up with new, you know, handicaps to put on people just to make things easier for others. But it's there is a sense of, you know, interest when you have different things.
Have any other kind of best ofs of this year? We actually didn't even get that too deep because we kind of went deep on the individual topics. But as we kind of, you know, probably wrap this bit up and move on from the overall topic, did anyone else want to bring up like any sort of favorites from Overwatch 1?
I will say this is very much recency bias, but like as a play that kind of stands out in my mind, you know, I think Shoes clutch on Havana definitely has got to be up there in terms of like the Mount Rushmore of like crazy Overwatch, like high level Overwatch competitive plays. Yeah,
Mount Rushmore of big moments. Yeah,
big moments. That was insane to me.
On top of that as well, I might add that I think, and I'd be interested to see where you guys land as well. I think the Glads versus Chengdu stage final is the best game of Overwatch League history, in my opinion.
It's up there for sure. I don't know if I'd say it's.
First of all, it's a final. Second of all,
agreed.
It's like literally on the edge of your seat, where you have no idea who's gonna win, no idea what's gonna happen. Down to the literal final moments of the game, and then to top it all off, the fucking cherry on top, the climax of the entire thing, Shu does one of the craziest Mount Rushmore style plays you've ever seen in your life, right? This is why I think that's the greatest game of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate that argument for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if theoretically you could say the same thing about Apex Finals. It always felt like, I don't know, Runaway against Lunatic High is definitely close, right?
Okay, you can bring up like there's definitely some 8 map series and, you know, in Apex and stuff like that. I'm a little bit more biased towards recent games because I feel like the level of play evolved much higher and players are the better players mechanically and as a team. Because here's the one bone I'll throw GOATS in terms of what GOATS really did well for Overwatch is increase the standard of team play by a lot. And so taking those learnings into more diverse metas and dive, that allowed for teams to really give and produce and show the highest levels of coordinated dive we've ever seen in Overwatch competitive history. And sure, Shanghai and Dallas weren't there, but Glads and Chengdu were easily good enough teams and super talented, some of the best players in the world in there. And some gigantic moments from both teams over the course of the entire series, and a super back and forth series that was just hard to predict. Like you couldn't say who was going to win because it was so neck and neck. I mean, those are the best series because you don't want to be watching a game where it's super like, oh yeah, Shanghai is just going to win, right? You don't want that. You want a game where you don't know who's going to win. And some of the Apex games didn't have that, but I feel like this game delivered that and more.
Yeah, now that you kind of lay it out, it's definitely a contender. Because a lot of these other games that I think, you know, just really stick out to me just aren't finals. They don't have that weight. They may have the edge of the seat, like we're not sure which way it's gonna go. They certainly don't all have the cherry on top with the fantastic, outplay, but yeah, that's I think I'd be interested to see, and this isn't like a YouTube bait, but I am kind of interested.
Ooh, I love
Of
YouTube bait.
leave a comment below on what you think the best Overwatch League series ever was. And if maybe AVRL swayed your opinion, because he definitely
Well, some
changed
people
mine.
will. I think some honorable mentions are definitely like Paris's win in season 3 for the stage
Sure.
final. The EQO clutch as well. What match? I can't remember what match was that, but that was like the Philly match of the EQO clutch. That game was pretty tight. People will say maybe stage 1 finals of season 2 or stage 3 finals of season 2. The Shanghai win versus Shock was pretty hot. No one will ever say any of the grand finals because all of our grand finals
Dog
have been
shit. Oh, the
completely crap the
worst.
entire time. We've never had
The
a good grand
worst.
finals. We've had some of the best stage finals ever, but
Yeah.
just I feel like we suck up all the hype in the stage finals, and then
Yeah.
you get to the grand finals, and it's just awful.
Yep.
So that's our curse. So we have great stage finals, completely dog shit.
Any
Grand
love
finals.
for season 1, stage 1 finals? With London having to play those back-to-back games and then having to like beat up on New York, who was very obviously the favorite.
Yeah, don't hate that.
Definitely was fucking crazy to me that they pulled that off.
Yeah.
Didn't have the cherry on top. Was a final. I think by the end of it, I think you could probably, maybe you could say, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to kind of remember back to the game in general. I remember like Jonak having some odd ultimate usage, but
Oh, sorry, I just had to backtrack a little bit.
okay.
But also, LA Glads versus Chengdu had super high stakes because it would have been the first any title grand finals win for either organization in their entire history.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So the stakes were mega fucking high for that.
Mm.
But yeah. But yeah.
It's been a fun little chapter in Overwatch. It's been fun. Hopefully Overwatch 2 can only do better. Be better.
Do better, Overwatch 2. Do better.
Please.
Please do better. I kind of don't. I don't know. I think the stage 3, not stage 3. I think the year 3 2020 games were good. The only problem I have with the 2020 games, I don't want to take things too far away from the achievements of the teams that achieved great things that year. But because you didn't have international gameplay, it just felt like, yeah, I guess these wins were good. You didn't get tested versus, the Shanghai across the ocean who were also dominating. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why it was so hype when we finally got to the playoffs, except playoffs was riddled with the whole Roadhog BS. And then obviously, to be honest, the finals of 2020 was one of the better finals because we went several maps deep, right? It wasn't just a 4-0 sweep, thank God. But still, I mean, the whole Roadhog thing just killed a lot of interest. At least from my perspective, it was just kind of boring. Bit of a joke. But Paris versus Philly in Summer Showdown 2020 was pretty decent. I'd give that like a close second or third or something like that. I think that's been one of the better games.
That's fair.
Also, rip, that would have been Fusion's chance to finally get a win. Big RIP there.
True. Yeah. Always seem to kind of fumble it.
All right. Are we ready to play some games?
We shall.
Let's
With
go.
Joe.
Are we getting off the fence, or are
Gaming
we?
with Joe. No, we'll get off the fence.
All right.
Get off the
Let's
fence.
go.
We got a couple little questions
Shit,
from
I
our
ripped out my
lovely
headphones.
patrons. As
We're like
Yiska-
10 questions,
Reattach.
so we get to 3 hours.
yeah, right.
3 hours. 3 hours worth of 10 questions. Let's go.
Not two. I think we have 3 apiece for you guys. One amendment.
10 apiece.
One amendment to some previous episodes. I think we talked previous to the show. We're going to remove the kind of price cap towards questions. So if you are a patron and you want to ask a question, toss it in our Discord, shoot it to one of us, and I'll make sure to add it to the list. Just note that if we don't get to you, we are probably prioritizing patrons that either have been with us longer or
have a higher tier. But if you are even a $1 patron, you can submit a question and we will have these boys get off the fence. So as long as everybody's ready, we'll start with this is a kind of spicy one. From longtime friend of the show, D Hulky, Fantasy Esports, for Overwatch, lover. AVRL, I'm going to ask you to get off the fence. Has Overwatch contenders talent dried up?
How can it be dried up when we still get so much contenders talent every single year going to the Overwatch League? Unless you mean like after this year is it dried up, but then like it's never dry. I don't know. I feel like it's never dried. Even with Overwatch as a game kind of declining, to me, it's never dried up. Like we've always had good new talent. We've got like one of the biggest talents ever in Overwatch history that is gonna like absolutely rock the entire Overwatch League, who just turned 18. That's coming through. Like it's we got groundbreaking talent coming out going into next year. That's kind of wild, right? Like that's to me the opposite of talent drying up. And then as we head into Overwatch 2, like if anything, there should be more talent interested in trying to get in the game. If assuming they can get the game, which will pending that, who knows?
Yiska? We feel like contender still is pretty wet, moist, maybe.
So, okay, caveats here. I don't watch enough contenders to judge. I feel like, theoretically speaking, there's still it's drier. I think. I think a lot of the talent that's still coming through benefited from the better days in contenders. A lot of them had their roots during that time. I think also monetization is probably drying up for them as well. I mean, now, like, a lot of those programs are just... I don't know if we can expect just, like, teams like AT that really unprofessionally sort of got good players together is, like, a thing that can always happen.
Okay.
But that said, I noticed that it hasn't incredibly slowed down. So maybe that theory is completely wrong. I'm very open to the idea that maybe Path to Pro was never necessary. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to judge. But I mean, it's really, let's be honest, call a spade a spade. It's really down to what is the infrastructure still left in South Korea and how can those teams work? Because like we're damn near 60% of the league is now Korean. So this will always be the most important
region.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue. Sorry.
Most important aspect in that discussion. Like, does Korea still produce talent? If yes, because they didn't really need the academy teams or whatever, right? Like, they didn't need it before, they didn't really need it after. I don't think... Props to Genji and T1, but
T1.
Let's be honest, they didn't fundamentally improve the overall quality of that league by being, an academy team there. I think that void would have easily been demonstrated by teams like KDP, O2, X6, just always haven't been there and being elite talent forges, right? So as long as whatever is holding that structure in place keeps going, I think we'll never have a dry well.
Fair play. Yiska, will go back to you with the comment around AT and some of your recent content. We did have somebody, I believe a new patron, JR Smithsonian. Welcome to the Crouchers. But they had a question for you. Would AT, American Tornado, have been top 5 in OWL or just top 5 in an A? Get off the fence.
So, okay, I was made aware that The AT crowd has watched this podcast before, namely when I threw shade at the back line of the Atlanta Reign. So,
What do they think about that?
I think in fairness, I more like, you know, when we said like what's the possibility of a team tanking, then we mentioned that as like a potential source of Atlanta not doing as well next year, right?
Yeah.
I think it's also probably a little unfair for me to say because I didn't consume the necessary amount of games of their gameplay that I should have in order to have an accurate opinion of them. But I will say that I still believe dominating contenders and dominating in OWL is very different, and that scrimbugs don't necessarily have to translate, and that ego detachment is way more difficult when you are actually in the competition and have to be under the constraints of that competition and have to play the entire game of like, oh, now my manager told me I have to do an interview. Oh, fucking hell. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't want to do the sponsorship stuff. And like all of that weighing it down, and that necessarily impedes performance. I think top 5 OWL is almost impossible. I think top 5 in A, I could see arguments for.
Okay, so that would put them just to, as you continue, I'll just, for the audience's sake, I'll take a look at, you know, who would have been.
Because
in
what is true is they had very good scrim results against a lot of teams. That said, not all teams are always playing to win, right? Like some teams are just playing to improve specific aspects, and they don't, like, success is not who wins the map. Success is have we executed what the thing we wanted to improve on. So
do you think AT would have beaten the Outlaws by the end? That would have been the 5th place NA team by week 19.
I let those guys figure that out amongst themselves, because I know there's this like crossing friendships on those teams. But
Sure.
I think consistently it's probably a hard ask. Like the realities of just like Overwatch League life is
interesting.
But I wouldn't be opposed to the idea that they were somewhat on a similar level had they competed in the same thing. Once again, like, it's hard to judge like the individual dynamics without knowing really anything other than having talked to Hydron once and like having seen how these guys move through, like, you know, back channels. So it's really hard to judge. I can tell you is scrim results, those were positive for sure. I understand where their confidence comes from. I also think it is in their best interest to have that confidence in themselves, and it's sort of like the source of their power as well. But as I said many times, I think a lot of them will realize like Overwatch League is a little different from playing in contenders, and some of them might get smacked next season because of that.
Ooh, are we gonna name any names, or are we just gonna shoot in the dark? Okay. I had to. You put it out there. I had to swing. AVRL, I know this is probably a relatively unfair question to throw to you, but any thoughts with AT?
Can I answer neither? I'm kidding. They definitely wouldn't be. I'm joking. They wouldn't be top 5 OWL.
Okay.
But NA, I think it's plausible. I think it's plausible to get top 5 NA, because to get top 5 NA, you basically have to beat like Outlaws in Washington. Like, those are the type of teams you have to be better than.
Yeah.
If you can be better than those teams, you're top 5. So could they be there? I mean, I think both Houston and Washington had struggled at various points. I'm looking at this from a perspective of like, because there's 2 ways to look at it. You can either look at it from, okay, if AT were just an OWL team that were playing in North American Overwatch League the entire season, where would they land, right, over the course of a whole season? That it will include all the BS and all the extra intangibles that Yiska's talking about. Or you can look at it from the perspective of just throw them into a round robin now and just play a show match. What would happen? You know, just AT just show up and play a show match versus either Washington or Houston, full best of 5 versus 3 action. How does it go down, right? And in the latter sense, I think AT got a fair shot. You know, I think they got a fair
Okay.
shot at beating Houston and Washington in that context. But if you include the longevity of the entire season and having to be consistent and having to get over all the hurdles and all the intangibles and all the logistics of playing a full season of Overwatch League,
Mhm.
then I mean they're all kids. I mean, who knows? Unless they're properly managed and they're strongly motivated and things are going well and they're not getting disheartened, then those things all have to basically happen for them to get a top 5 result. Because I think getting top 5 in forget top 5 in Overwatch League, top 5 even in NA can be a challenge. Where teams like Houston, who started out super strong in stage 1, ended up not making playoffs, right? So
True.
yeah.
Funny. That was what a lovely game. I love that game. That game was hilarious. Shout out to Justice Houston at the very end. But staying with AVRL for a moment, I know we just talked about some of the golden era of Overwatch and some of our favorites. But I think we kind of glossed this one over, which is kind of fun to come up to now with Picasso's question for AVRL. Get off the fence. Who was the best team in Overwatch League history? Team and season. For example, Shock Season 2, New York Season 1, Shanghai Season 4.
Shanghai Season 4.
Okay.
I've already said on this podcast I'm a little bit more biased towards teams that have played well recently. So you can call that recency bias if you want, but I think it's valid. I think it's justified in the sense that, again, the gameplay has evolved every single year. It's been more competitive every single year. Teams take lessons they learn from previous years and apply them to future years to improve their gameplay. And the level of skill being shown and teamwork and everything being shown by Shanghai this year was unlike anything I'd ever seen watching Overwatch from day one. I've been casting Overwatch and being part of competitive Overwatch since release, and I can tell you, anecdotally at least, that what Shanghai displayed this year was far beyond anything I've ever seen from any team in the entire history of the game. So yeah, their teamwork was unmatched. The skill level was unmatched. Individual talent was unbelievable in every single position. It's just like it's a crazy strong team. I was going to say the likes we'll never see again, but hey, we will, because Shanghai have kept the same roster for 2022. Thank God.
True. Yiska, any rebuttals there?
So I
Best team?
agree with Shanghai Season 4. I will also point out, and I think we were never really cognizant of that, but they were the first team that really beat the sandbag curse. If you think about it. Like,
Dude, they didn't just beat it; they completely pummeled that shit by choosing Shock in the first round and beating Shock. They're like, "Yeah, what sandbag? Don't even know what that means."
Yeah, I will say, man, like those Shock rosters were pretty nutty. If you think about it, like they themselves had no weaknesses on that team, dude. Like that's definitely also the case. And once again, in the environment that they were in, I think it's very fair to say that they could be considered on the level. Now, as things get more and more skill, like there's almost no doubt in my mind that this version of like Shanghai Dragons, with what they know now and what skill sets they have and the depth of their hero pool, that they would get like Shock Season 3 the fuck out of here if they were to match up in their respective.
Those guys. They bend them over and slap that ass is what they would do.
Yeah, necessarily, right? Like, I think even Shock players would have to agree that their relative level of, like, excellence was just not comparable to what Shanghai did. Because, like, everyone leveled up so much, and still Shanghai was so much better than everyone else by the end of it, right? So, of course, also perfect storm of matters. I completely understand that. I will also say that's probably also true for their dominance, though. Especially like, I would have, I'll leave it there. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't feel bad about it. I think it's a sick roster of like hybrids of people that have been here for a very long time and people that haven't been here for that long, but are still like already like. Just like the difference between, let's say, Void and Lip, right? It's very cool to see that just be fused together in such like an excellent fashion. Zero holds on the roster. Everyone legitimately in the top 3 competition in their role.
Yep.
just absolutely nuts. Like, and I will say, you gotta say it now, but like, we were hating on Moon in season 2 for some dumb shit, but he actually created the best team of all time. Legit.
Yeah, Moon, well-deserved winner of what, Coach of the Year, Esports Awards, even though that shit is rigged as fuck anyway, but well-deserved anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, dude, like, the guy nailed his roster this year. I mean, Shanghai probably gave him a pretty nice budget to work with. I mean, they've nailed, I would imagine, have nailed next year's roster too, because the organization, Moon, and the management have all just come together and be like, yo, we got the winning team. You know, we got the right source here. We don't need to change the formula. Let's go into next year strong. I hope like these what I'm saying now doesn't come back to bite me for Overwatch 2, but I can't imagine Shanghai falling off next year when they were so good this year. And you've kept team synergy, keeping the same players who are good at playing with each other together is like a rare thing in this game, you know? Whether that be because, and some of it's outside of team's control, like players' contracts just run out and the other teams buy them, you know, and money's a big deal here. And like, oh, you get a good offer. And it's like, yeah, I like this player, but fuck, there's a good offer. You sell anyway, you know? So sometimes even when you want to keep a team together, like, you know, the whole contract stuff just throws a spanner in the works. So it's tough. And I don't like this whole meta discussion as well. People will come down, people try and take away from the success of teams in Shanghai, be like, oh, yeah, well, they got lucky with the meta, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, my guy, every team gets quote unquote lucky with their meta respectively every single year, right? Every year, like, oh, yeah, I mean, like, what team who won that year, like, doesn't get lucky with their meta? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, that's just this complete nonsensical argument.
Yeah, agreed.
Also, good teams create their own luck. Good teams are just good and they just win no matter what. They create their own luck. Like,
yeah.
What are you on about?
Lots of styles to kind of, you know, showcase and whatnot. Going to Yiska for a moment, with another question from Picasso. Here's a little fun one for you. If you could go back to 2018 and secure a spot managing / coaching an OWL franchise, who do you sign first as a franchise player, and who do you sign to complement them? I'm gonna hijack this and say just one compliment, just one person to complement the franchise player.
In 2018.
So, yeah, so sign Profit, and then who do you sign next time?
Well, you knew he was going to sign Profit.
Yeah, I mean,
so okay. So are we talking?
Stand of stands.
Are we talking like now in hindsight with all the knowledge upon, like, betrothed upon us, or at the time without knowing what would happen?
Using the verbiage, if you could go back, I would say that knowing what you know now, going back to 2018, you know, Back to the Future style, what would you do?
Well,
you sign Profit, and who do you sign next?
No, I'm actually signing Flatter.
Okay.
I think I'd be.
Is this your nightmare?
No, I'd be. I'd have the illusions of grandeur. You know, like I can fix him, or fix the situation type of thing. You know, the flame special.
Sure. Yeah.
Where I would say I would just not have a team that sucks around Flatter.
Okay.
And would just have him be excellent for all 4 seasons. Even though I will say, like, he was excellent first half of season 1, I would say. Season 2 was, of course, a little quiet because of goats. Yeah, I think Flatter is kind of a good choice. Profit is definitely, like, the other one. Now, could you do...
Is that your compliment?
Okay, yes, that's the question now.
Is that the loophole to Picasso's question?
Nah, I think the loophole is I don't think there's a loophole. I think you're not going wrong by saying Void Flatter and just like take it from there. I think that's just like you got your shit figured out on the off tank role. It's so important to get right. I think you're never going to be phased out of metas, and with choosing Flatter. And I also have the hit scan role on lock because Flatter was also famously one of the better Widowmakers during his time.
Sure.
Yeah, just like covering all bases. I think those two would be my choices.
You're just slowly trying to Season 4 Shanghai Dragons in Season 1, you're like, oh yeah, I start with Flitter and Void, and then I might just get Fate as well. Like, oh yeah, that's right, Izayaki plays. I might just get Izayaki also. I think about that. Like, oh, EJ Gon's not available, but yeah, fuck it, we're gonna break some rules here.
Okay,
he's 15, we're gonna get him anyway. And
okay, can I do some, like, just because you gave me that name? There's no fucking way that Izayaki isn't replaceable. I'm sorry, but they're like every top 5 flex support could be playing in that game and team, and there would be no change. Let's be perfectly honest, dude.
This year,
yes. Nah, way over.
Really, I mean, he did have a good season.
And Alarm wouldn't have had that in that position, or fucking like Twilight or Violet.
Okay. I will only
Violet, definitely
not Violet,
definitely
Violet,
not Violet.
No, bro.
Bro,
No,
the problem with Violet was he was bored. Like, this kid.
Bro, you have to be very careful who you call bored on this podcast. You're gonna have to
dude, this fucker plays like one match of fucking it's like solo queue flex support, and it's like, oh no, I'm bored of flex support. Fuck.
Bro, he got benched by Architect.
I got my 4,600 on flex support, so now I'm queuing DPS the entire time. Like, not even really like, oh yeah, and then Krusty bought into this bullshit as well, bro. Like, I don't know. Maybe you just needed a moon slapping, or I don't know.
I will give that argument, not about Violet, but Izayaki, only with Shu's BAP. That's it. If Shanghai want to play heavy BAP comps this year, I would agree that Shu's BAP would be better than Izayaki in that same position. That I will give you that. But beyond that, I rate Izayaki pretty high. I think he's mad underrated. The fact that you think that is just proof of how mad underrated Izayaki is. Izayaki's replaced Fate as the most underrated player on that team. So
yeah, he is name recognition wise definitely not somebody who sticks out, but like, he's just good at everything he does, and he had a fucking banger of a season.
But so is every other top flex support, bro.
I mean, not to completely hijack the question and getting back on track.
Okay. Let me fuck it, dude. Gangnam Jin wouldn't look significantly worse in that position. They still win the league.
Because the other 5
Same with Myangbo.
Sure.
Same with Jonak.
Bro, you could put me in that position then. Oh yeah, I could just play you instead of Izayaki and we win because the other 5 players are so good. But like, I mean, that's not the point though. I mean, at that point, you could just outside of Lip, you can almost replace anybody and just like, oh, put this guy in here.
No, I guess my point really is like the general talent distribution in flex support is so highly concentrated that Izayaki isn't the difference maker. Like, you could just like
on that team, no. He's not the difference maker. No. He's not the guy. He's probably like high on the list of players. If I had to replace somebody, he'd be higher. But like, I mean, yeah, I still wouldn't. I still wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not the point of what we're getting towards. It's not like the actual conversation. But now that Yiska's done hijacking things, Joe.
Yes, AVRL. Explain to me why Leave would be your franchise player, and who do you sign next to him? Just kidding.
Yeah, because Leave is a 15-year-old in 2018, so now it's 5.
It's one of those you go back in time and you sign him as a child because
we're playing for the long term. That worked, by the way. Everyone who said that has great success in Overwatch League.
I'm signing Leave and Shy in 2018. They can be my Super Sinatra in Season 1. I might as well just, fuck it. I'll just sign Flitter and Prophet at the same time. Here you go. This is big fuck you, everybody's just take,
y'all gotta stop like making me not look like the biggest fanboy of Prophet. Like, you're actually taking the front seat now.
I'm not taking the piss, dude. I think they're both good players who make sense to sign together. Like, that's a damn good DPS duo. That's a damn good DPS duo right off the cuff, And I'm heavy on the DPS. Like, as long as my tanks and supports aren't feeding, you can DPS diff other teams and just carry your way through the game, like especially in Season 1. So I put a lot of weight on getting good DPS plays.
Who plays Cassidy?
Carpe does. He's my 3rd signing.
Fuck off. Fucking hell. Sidestepping the quest.
past it.
Yeah, but problem is I made that little gotcha, but that's literally the only hero I can think of where I would say we haven't seen either of those people demonstrate their
I
level.
don't even think that hero was a big deal in season 1. Widowmaker was a bigger deal in season 1. Like,
no, but
I don't even think
if you say franchise players, you now have 2 DPS players. Those guys have to play, and then like Cassidy was pretty relevant character throughout Overwatch League history.
A lot of teams signed minimum 3 DPS players. Teams even signed 4 DPS players. Outlaws signed fucking 5 DPS players, FYI. So, I mean,
sure, but like, I mean, unless you're also like part of the Church of Striker who think you can be the GOAT by sitting on a bench, you probably don't want your franchise player to be a bench player, right? Would you really, like, I don't know, like, I just feel like I want my 2 guys to play 100% of the time. And that's true for Fleta and,
okay, I take Prophet and Carpe then.
That sucks more somehow.
What?
Dude.
What?
You get into a final and immediately, like, the choking hazards come out.
Oh, why? Just because Carpe's there? Come on.
Yeah.
He's never. I feel like he's not the player that chokes in those situations.
Nah,
Carpe's always had consistent performances. Maybe his team chokes, but I feel like Carpe just gets unlucky with his teammates.
Yeah, like he totally didn't get his shit slapped on that like Profit 5k on Volskaya where he just like completely beefs shit and then continues to drop spaghetti for the rest of the series.
See, that's why they're teammates now.
Exactly. Carpe can't beef against his own teammate. He's on Profit's team now.
See, AVRL knows that that's bound to happen in the next couple months, so he just, cuts it off at the pass. See, big brain, Yiska. You got to think about these things.
How is Carpe not playing 100% bench the entire time?
To who?
To Profit?
There's 2 players signed.
Right. So okay, so there's a, I don't know, like a Tracer Genji meta.
Okay, fuck you, Yiska. I go back to Fleta Profit then. How about that?
There you
I
go.
just go back to that.
Right. What a Profit stan he is. Jesus Christ.
Huh? Yeah, I don't. You can't. Chat. Come on. Comment section. YouTube, please. Let this man know.
Still,
when you make tweets about dreaming about Profit and just have a career spanning 3 years, just lauding him, I don't think you get to just
see.
Like
you guys don't understand. You scarred my soul so much for having pushed this kid into GOAT conversation that I now can't touch it anymore. I gotta distance myself and overcompensate.
That's your hill to die on, my friend. That's your.
You hurt me. You guys made me that way.
Fair enough. AVRL, I believe we're coming back to you for your last one.
I signed Decay and Crimson.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, continue.
From Picasso again, what would be better for a tier 2 AVRL, a compulsory academy league like the LCS, or for contenders to have larger prize pools? Get off the fence.
Compulsory academy. Prize pools is good for the players, not good for the viewers. It doesn't make people care unless the prize pool is like unbelievable, like $10 million, like Dota 2 prize pools. It doesn't make viewers want to see it more. I feel like if it was academy leagues and it had a connection to the Overwatch League in that sort of sense, and every single team was an academy team, and you could tune into a tier 2 game and be like, oh, I can. I'm usually a Glads fan, or I'll support Gladiators Legion, when they existed. That gives you, the fans, the viewers, a far more ability to engage and connect with that tier 2 scene. Whereas like just money is like cool. Like, what does that do for you? I feel like infrastructure is way more important than just prize pool.
Yiska, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think in general, like, prize pool has never been that great of a motivator, especially like, I don't know, like, what is more likely to make you go full time in a thing? like a prize pool that if you win it can sustain you for like 2 years, but only for like one team, or everyone having sustainable living wages that they can now pour in, and then there's still a higher goal to pursue. Because yes, I understand the benefit of a big carrot, but we already have that, which is the Overwatch League, right? You don't need another carrot, which is the like by the prize pools, to sort of facilitate more competition. I don't think that's really the issue.
I'm gonna add on to this a quick little aside. You talk about carrots. What if we gave contenders the opportunity through arbitrary metrics to earn a pair of designer shoes? Is that enough to maybe get people to watch?
Earn a carrot. Like they actually get a physical carrot.
That shit was so cringe, bro.
Love me some of that. Love me some of that.
Also, just sorry to backtrack.
Yeah.
Like I just realized as well, like kind of as Yiska was talking, but yeah, like prize pools are also super top down. So like most of the teams never get to see that prize pool. Only the top teams get to see that shit. So yeah, it's like it's not useful for the scene as a whole. It's not useful for the ecosystem as a whole. Back to what you're saying though. What do you say? You get a shoe if you win.
Yeah,
what?
the designer brand shoes that maybe teams have gotten. I don't know.
Who gets them?
Remember, I think it was in 2020 where like they had like this designer come in for like the playoffs, and like they gave players like these arbitrary metrics, like, oh, if you get a pulse bomb kill, we'll give you some shoes. And then like we didn't see the shoes, we didn't really see anything.
So Joe, this is like prize pool, but worse because you don't even get to spend the money on what you want. You get a shoe,
dude.
Unless you really wanted a shoe, but like if you don't want a shoe, then bad fucking luck. You don't even get money to spend on what you want. It's literally worse than a prize pool.
It's like a shitty Christmas gift.
Why do we not like culturally like? Why shoes, bro?
Like, I mean, they're a hip thing.
What else?
Kids are into shoes.
Like designer belly button rings, bro. Like, what could be less fucking connected to esports?
Shoes are a little bit more useful than belly button rings. Let's be clear about that.
Barely. Like, do you play with shoes on?
Barely. What are you talking about? You sound like a barefoot motherfucker over here. Like you never wear shoes.
Bro, I can't play at the top of my skill level in shoes.
Nah, definitely not.
Like, why not like a fucking especially like cool mouse? Just dip that shit in gold or some shit,
makes sense,
man. Like,
could be a keyboard, could be any kind of peripheral, but shoes are hip with the kids, man.
No. You can't get a mouse because everyone has already got their dream mouse anyway. You've already got your final mouse or your Logitech G Pro. You're not gonna play with someone's prize mouse, and if you do, it's literally just your mouse anyway. It's the same as what you've already got. It doesn't change anything for you.
Well, let them talk to the designer or some shit. Print their face on it. I don't know. Like, you make it sound like it's less useful than fucking shoes, man. Like,
I want my own booby mouse pad. That's what I want the players to have.
There you go.
Shoes are useful. I think you're like, I don't know why you think shoes aren't useful. I'm not saying I would rather have that than prize pool. Give me a prize pool over a shoe any day of the week, and give me academy leagues over prize pool any day of the week beyond that. But like, if we're talking about shoes, like, I don't know what you have against shoes. I mean, shoes are useful. It's like a use it in your
How
day-to-day
often do
life.
you see the shoes of an esports player?
It's not about you seeing them. It's about them having shoes to wear.
Is that your like? What kind of foot fetish do you have to have in order to like get any rise out of that? Like,
Yiska, if anything, it's an anti-foot fetish because we're covering the feet with shoes.
Well, it depends if you want to buy them after they wore them. Maybe.
What the fuck? Jesus Christ! What is that?
Yeah.
What
the title of this episode is Yiska calls all sneakerheads foot fetishists.
There's just no cultural relevance. There's so much you could do, like even virtual shit. But like,
oh, you want to give them NFTs?
Give them NFTs. give them an NFT of a shoe. Like a picture of a shoe, it's an NFT.
I don't know, man.
Oh man,
I don't know.
Y'all are wild.
Give them a tattoo voucher. I don't know. That's more culturally relevant.
A coupon for a tattoo.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right. Last one for Yiska from Picasso, similarly as wild. You know, some of these owners and other esports out here causing ruckuses on Twitter, being, you know, fun little content creators in their own rights. But Picasso asks, who would be the better owner / org to get into OWL via an expansion or franchise sell? G2 and Carlos, Nadeshot and 100 Thieves, or someone else? Get off the fence, Yiska.
Bro, they could never get Carlos. Like,
but they're not saying, he's not saying, you know, who could. He's like, which one would be the best? Who would be the better owner?
It depends. Now, if you're a foot fetishist, like, then Son of Thieves can probably sell merchandise better. For everything else, I don't know. I think Carlos and G2 are just so good at content, man. Like, they by themselves create the spectacle that could lift this entire thing much more than anyone else. But they're also not bad enough business people to buy into this. So it's sort of like, I also don't know if they would even be given the creative freedom to be themselves and to be this shit steering selves in non-franchise leagues. Even though Riot is doing a pretty good job at giving them enough leash. Yeah, I think G2 easily. I think G2, there's no brand that understands esports more than G2.
Okay. AVRL, any outside thoughts?
I mean, selling jerseys and understanding esports and brands and all that's quite nice. But I'll tell you something else that's really nice, and that's money. So I'm going to pick Invictus Gaming, which wasn't on the list, because Invictus Gaming is owned by the son of like one of the richest dudes in the entire world. Definitely in China. Like, we're talking about billionaire status here. So
the
like,
pay pick strategy.
It's just gonna.
They were here.
Gonna throw money. Gonna throw money at it. Yeah, they were.
They were for just a little blip, you know,
During
good old
OWPS.
IG Fire. Yeah.
And Ice. A song of IG Fire and Ice. Yep, that's correct. So yeah, I don't know. Invictus Gaming maybe. But
yeah, it's not
I'd like this. You're not gonna get, by the way, you're not gonna get Nadeshot because he only wants an LA slot. So, well, actually, maybe you would get him because IGC would love to sell to Nadeshot.
They would love to get out.
Actually, maybe that's super viable. I'm wrong, actually. I'm completely wrong. Nadeshot could get a pretty sweet deal right now if he wants to by buying IGC slot.
Now, of course,
Valiant. He can just.
Disadvantage being that he already has insights into the financials through the CDL. So,
is it? I guess maybe yes.
Whereas, like, what is Carlos want? He would want a European. He's based in where?
Maybe Paris,
Germany,
something like that.
Yeah, in Berlin.
He can get a pretty cheap deal in Paris, but I think he'd rather start his own Berlin franchise, if anything.
Yeah,
would be him. But
I just move Paris to Berlin. Just
what, like rebrand and move the city? It's not impossible. It's not impossible. I feel like I was gonna say like, no, you can't get Nadeshot. Then I convinced myself that you could. So now I'm thinking it is probably Nadeshot.
Okay.
If anybody. It's probably that. Just because I think IGC's, they'd be pretty desperate to sell, and I think Nadeshot would get a pretty sweet deal out of it, you know. If he wants to spend it all. Who knows?
True,
he was willing to buy into CDL, and once upon a time he said he wasn't willing to do that.
Yeah.
Said he wasn't willing to do that at all, and then he, you know, changed his tune and said, you know what, maybe I will. So never say never.
Fair. All right. Well, that's Get Off the Fence for this week. And the last one of 2021. I know that we started kind of late, but yeah, if you are a patron, submit those questions no matter how much you're pledging, and we'll get them on the list.
For sure, skis. Roster recollection time?
Yeah.
Time for another little fun one.
Let's make this one a long one, hopefully.
Yeah.
Who wants to start first? We're going to play a fun little game where someone is going to name a roster from a certain year, and we're going to try and fill in the gaps of who was on that team. And we're going to try and not cheat, because I'm gonna look away, I'm gonna cover my eyes, and I'm gonna do all that kind of stuff and like legitimately try and remember. So
so we're gonna
who's
name.
Gonna start?
Yeah.
Cool. You got a pretty.
You'll see the proof of concept.
So
you had a pretty sick one.
Here's
so you
the
go
thing:
first, then.
we all got like some choices. Now I don't know how we want to do this, because there's a theoretically we could have chosen the same team.
Yeah.
And then you would already also know or remember, because you looked through it, that.
Just name the.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if you know already, then maybe don't answer it and let the other guy struggle. So I'm gonna start.
What if all three of us chose the same team?
I'm gonna start with season 2, Paris Eternal.
Okay, so you
Okay,
have
okay.
got you want to name the ones that you know?
Okay, Ben Best, No Smite,
Yeah.
Harbin,
Wait, who?
Nico.
No, season 2. So their debut season. You're naming season 3.
Okay, you go then.
Okay, so you have. I don't remember their main tank.
Sparkle and Ixie and I've already failed.
I know Danya was on the team. He didn't play much, but I know he was on the team.
Yeah.
Gray?
Yeah.
Hip Cruise, I think. We're Hip and Cruise there.
Yeah.
What have we got so far?
Danya, Hip, Cruise.
Are we getting the notepad out? Guys, notepad content. Let's go.
Was Neptuno there yet? Do we have Neptuno yet?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure actually. I'm not. If you feel a certain way, you can send that one.
We'll just write down the name of every single European player and eventually we'll get it.
I don't remember their tanks.
Was Soon there yet?
No.
Was AKM there?
No.
Was Unco there? Surely
No, they
there
were
like more French players than just one.
No, they were the Dallas boys were still rocking in
Okay.
fuel. Soon.
What about Soon?
Where the fuck was Soon? Soon was still.
Just write them
Valiant?
down. Just gotta write them down.
Okay.
I think he was on. I know
Maybe we have to
AKM's
do guesses.
Zarya was horrendous. No, was it Soon? Or maybe he was. Fuck.
Just write them down.
Yeah, write
Take
it
him
down.
down. Just take him down. Just take Soon.
It might. Yeah, you might be right with Soon. Who
Damn
is
it,
the
so that
tank? Who's their Rhine?
Ben Best.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. You're right. It was Ben Best. Ben Best. Who is their diva? Soon.
Nico.
I think.
Was it Nico? Was it Nico? Surely they
I
got
think
Nico.
it
and then
probably was.
And then
Yeah.
I think they kept Nico from season 2 to season 3, right?
I think.
Surely it's Nico. Can I be real? The only player from season 2 that I legitimately remember 100% is Cruz, and that's it. And the only reason I remember that because I'm like, oh, this guy ain't French, even though there's a lot of other players on that team that weren't French. But for some reason, I remembered Cruz.
I'm season 2. I am positive Shadowburn was on that team.
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was.
I'm
I think he was.
positive he was. Shadowburn, Danya, Soon.
Nico, Ben, Best, Cruz,
Nico,
and Gray.
Ben Best, Cruz, Gray. Hip?
I said Hip. I said
Yeah,
Hip really early.
okay.
Was Kib there? Was Kib there? Just throw him on there anyway. Kib.
I don't think he was. He was definitely not.
Just put him on there.
He was in Philly.
Was Smex or Christopher anybody like that on the team?
Chris, definitely not. Smex is a decent shout.
Just throw Smex on there anyway. Just put him on there.
We need a time limit.
Do you guys want a tip?
Say that
We
again,
already
Yiska?
won. We got all of them.
Do you guys want a tip?
Sure.
You're missing 2 tanks.
Bro, there's 2 more tanks. Fraggy, put him on there. Just put Fraggy on there.
Was it like Ellie and Lulsish?
Oh.
Just put him on there. I don't care. Put him on there.
Fraggy? Was he? No.
Just put him on there. Put them all. Put all of them on there. Put all of them on there.
God.
I
Could
don't
be any
remember
of
the
them. Put them all on there.
tanks. Are they? Oh, wait.
Is it not Harbin and No Smite? Fuck.
No, it's season 3. They didn't have any Koreans. This was like the GOATs team that was coming in that was like, oh my god, Paris is going to smash.
Oh my god.
And then they sucked. I'm trying to remember where Poca was.
Philly. Poco didn't leave Philly until
Right. Okay.
next year.
Yeah.
The way
he's
your
just
brains
gonna
work
play
is
it.
amazing, dude.
2 tanks. I don't think it was Fraggy.
I think we got them both.
Charge?
I think we got them both. Maybe, but I can't. We'll just take him anyway. We'll take him. He will own him. He probably was on charge.
I
Yeah,
should
he
know
was on charge.
this.
Yes, you should. You absolutely fucking should.
Yeah, I absolutely should.
And at some point, you got to tell publicly, by the way.
I'm yeah, maybe someday. I don't know.
Was Neptuno definitely not on this team?
I don't remember. I think he was still in Philly, was he not? This was like a contenders. I'm thinking contenders at the time.
Neptuno not there?
No, I don't think so.
We just write him down anyway.
Sure.
Okay, just right Neptuno, right?
But you
Yeah,
got to do a scattergun. You just got to scattergun.
Famously,
that shit,
he played tank.
Yeah, right. Who the fuck? I'm thinking it's a main tank. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, but you're also missing an off tank.
Sure. Who the fuck?
They're not. It's not Ben Best and Nico because we already got him.
Yeah. Who the
Damn.
Did Nico play off tank in Overwatch League?
Did he not?
Holy
Hey, yes, he
shit!
did.
I just saw
Yes, he did.
explosions.
Yes, he did. Of course he did.
gaslighting me? That's your
Nico
toxic trait.
played Genji and Diva. Those were his two heroes.
Oh, his diva was fucking tragic though.
in May.
And May. That's true. His May was good.
And
His
Doom.
May was good.
Anything about that?
I can forget about his Doom. I don't remember. I am stumped. I don't know who this main take is. And
Okay,
I don't know.
we're saying now. Okay, so the main tank was LH Cloudy,
Oh, that's right. Oh, fuck.
and the off tank
I-
was Finzi.
Oh, true. That's right. Because he fucking he juiced the fucking the Preds that year. Remember?
Yeah. Yep.
He was
I
just like
wouldn't have gotten
scribbling
Alex
the
Cloudy.
predictions.
I would not have gotten out LH Clarity. Did we get the rest right? Surely we did.
So
Yeah, we
Smex
got the
wasn't part of it. Neptuno was in fucking charge. You Pepegas.
Oh, I would have never fucking remembered that.
And yeah, I think the rest were all right. Yeah,
Well done. I think we're at
Not
least
bad.
we're shooting for
not bad. Not
above
bad.
50.
All right, all right. I'm looking forward to an experience if I'm also just like getting boomed to that level. Let's hope. Let's hope. Okay.
Avril, do you have one?
Is it me now?
If you want to, I can pick one if you want.
You want to go last? Okay, I'm gonna pick now.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Season 2 Hangzhou Spark.
Season 2 Spark. So Gusha for sure.
That sucks because I also
Then
had
you
that.
have No Semity. Then you had Godsby. Then you had Adora.
He's too good, dude.
Only Yiska's allowed to answer.
The thing is, I already showed like that was my alternative team, so it kind of sucks.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit.
I thought that was super hard to get. Yeah.
Who was their flex tank?
Now I'm not looking at my cheat sheet, and I still struggle to name the rest.
Oh fuck! It couldn't have been Choi because he was in shock, obviously.
Oh, this
the
man
fuck?
still thinks X6 is.
Yes,
that's
that's kind of where my head's
Yeah.
at. Godsby, Adora. I'm trying to think of their goats lineup. Bebe and IDK were their support line. Who played Brick? Who played Brick? Architect's not there yet. Oh, this is tough. I remember there's Zarya player, to be honest.
Who's the off tank?
I don't know. I don't remember who played Diva. Oh, Christ. It's not Bernard. I don't know why my brain's like, it's Bernard. It's not. It's just not. the fuck played D.Va? I genuinely am stumped. I know No Smite and oh no. It couldn't have been. I think MG was doing well in contenders at the time, but definitely wasn't on this team. I want to. I don't know why.
MG wasn't he like Shanghai Dragon season 1?
He was saying he was on the Dragon season 1, and then he went to contenders and actually looked good on D.Va. Who the fuck? I want to say there was more Chinese players, and I can't remember them. I know Gusha was there. I know No Smite was there. I know Adora was there. I know Godsby was there. IDK, Bebe.
The good news is you have a full team. That's 6 players.
True.
Unfortunately, that's
but
not the
there's
entire
yeah,
I think
there was so many
like
more.
I
like
think
you have like
This is
starting
impressive,
6.
but I will say I think the off tank you should get just because how relevant.
Is that my hint?
I like that both Yiska and I they were both on this now, but like this is just only Joe. Like what happened? Like what's going on here? This is
Well,
This is a
he said he
little bit-
picked it already, so he remembers it. Who the fuck was the flex tank? And I should know it. So who are the good flex?
just
tanks
because of
in
the
season?
length of the career.
Boyd was in season 2. Was in gold. Choi couldn't have been there. Flex tank's length of career. Who are some big long standing? It's not Zunba. It's not. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I genuinely am. I don't know. I'm stumped.
Are we just this one like
tap out.
cleaning up quicker?
Yeah,
Right.
I tap out.
So I think the off tank is rather like I think that I would have said that without looking up is Rhea.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Now I think one of the ones that you forgot is almost inexcusable for you, and the other one I forgot that he was a pro player in the Overwatch League, dude.
Who?
So Bazi
Yeah.
and fucking Revenge. Who Megaloo? That feels like that feels
That's right.
like a Mandela effect type of
Yeah.
situation where it's like,
See,
like
I
really
remember
fly.
Revenge. I remember
Really?
the Revenge because he went to Runaway and played Runaway. I remember that shit.
See, I remember. I think Revenge played 7. No, didn't he start in 7?
I think maybe no Bazzi was on
Yeah.
7, but anyway,
Yeah,
the
agreed,
most important player that you forgot on this list, the most famous player on the Hangzhou Spark that year was Crystal.
oh shit,
Oh,
right.
True. That's right. Yeah.
You
That
guys
is
forgot the most
true.
famous player on that team. The other one you missed was Session.
Yeah. That was
That's
the
the
big one
Zarya
for me.
player. Session
Yeah.
played Zarya that year.
Yep.
All right, now it's my turn to struggle.
Okay, I gotta finally my
got
time to
another
get
one?
on the struggle bus. No, like
Oh, okay.
You
I'll
go.
give you one. Okay. Let's go. So we got a season. Was that 2 season 2s?
yes, I think so.
Spark. Okay. So let's.
Do a season 4.
No, I think I'm gonna hit you with. Let me check this team. No, I want to do season 1 Boston. Name me all the players on season 1 Boston.
Striker.
Okay, I got this.
Yeah, go on.
Striker mistakes. Okay,
Okay.
that's the one I got. No, you got Striker mistakes. Gamsu.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Dreamcast results is 4. That's all the.
Yeah.
I think that's all 3 DPS. I can't remember the off tanks. So skipping for now. Oh, Note.
Notes. Yeah.
Gamsu and Note.
Yeah.
Snow, Calyx, Vast, Neko. I feel like I'm close. There probably is only one more player.
Double back and look. That's a good chunk.
That's 9. Yiska, back me out here. You only got
Fuck.
Striker. Come on.
Fuck.
One more, I think.
Aim God. Done.
Vanguard was on it.
I feel like there's still a
Wait,
player
fusions?
No,
No, that was season 2, right?
We got 10 players.
There was a lot of players that left or just like didn't play.
Fuck.
There's one starting like
What?
initial reveal that is missing.
RCK.
No, that was the trade in season 2.
Yeah.
Do we have a notepad just to be sure?
Yeah,
Can I?
We got Striker Mistakes, Decay. Sorry, Dreamcast book. Gamsu,
Okay.
Note, Snow, Calyx.
Calyx, Neko, Vast, Aim God.
Yep, one missing.
Fuck.
Missing one.
Okay, let's get on the struggle bus then.
Oh no.
So let's think through the roles. Would they have 4 DPS? Because they of
Possibly.
course needed to sort of supplement after. Fuck. I think it's the DPS that's missing, right?
Do you want your hint? I'll give you a hint if you're stumped.
Could have been a tank though. No. They did have a lot of bench players. I'm just. Damn, I thought I got them all. I thought that was it.
I mean, you rattled through a lot of the ones. I was like, they won't remember fucking Note or Snow.
Yeah, give me the hint. Fuck it.
It is a flex tank.
Flex tank. Fuck.
Yes.
And it's not RCK.
No. Yeah. Eric is right. Was rostered for season 5.
What?
I'm
Rostered for
37.
season- No.
I'm 37.
No.
Oh, that's like a
Wait,
trick.
that was this year.
That's a trick question, right? Because he's probably
Sort
a
of.
coach. The gravy
was
wasn't
Mineral.
in there, right?
It was Mineral.
No.
It was Mineral.
No, it wasn't Mineral.
Um,
Mineral played Lucio.
It was Huck.
Huck on Diva,
It
yeah.
was.
You're gonna. I feel like you guys might kick yourselves for not getting this one.
It was Punk.
Nope.
It was Gable Sheep.
Nope. That's this year.
oh wait, there was a Korean flex, Kalios?
Yes, it was Kalios.
Oh,
There you go.
That was Kalios.
Fucking Kalios.
You guys killed that one. I'm impressed. There was a lot of obscure names on that one. That I was just
I'm
like,
good. I'm very.
This one.
You got the one I'm good at. You got the Boston season 1. I nailed that shit.
All right, come on. Everett, give us another one.
Who?
Everett, do you have another one?
Me.
Yeah.
I'll prep one more. We'll do another lap.
I'll just say, and don't look it up now, Joe. But I wanna like my second one.
Where's Yiska's face?
Is
Come to Yiska's face.
I don't know where Yiska's face
is Mayhem season 2. Oh, what the fuck? My browser died.
Mayhem season 2. So this is.
We can't see Yiska's face. I don't know if he's cheating.
My browser died and my OBS Ninja crashed because of that.
Mayhem season 2 is hard because I don't know how many of the Western players they kept.
Yeah.
But they still had some West. They had McGravy. Like I can hear myself now through you.
Oh, okay.
They had like McGravy on season 2 because I remember that was the year he got fucked over.
Yeah.
So McGravy. Did they have Mangachu? I know they had a Western roster going, and it was like half Western, half. Western.
Yeah, because they had like.
I think Fact Fiction. Yeah, they had Fact McGravy right as the tank line, and then they had like Chris and shit on the. I think Chris was still on the team. You know.
Yeah.
Sire player was there.
Sire player was there. SNT. Yeah, I think
probably.
Yeah, because this is like Mineral and what's his face coaching.
Yeah, this one's hard as fuck.
We can work through this. This one was up. No, I think he was on Academy at the time.
I just don't know. I just can't remember who McGravy's teammates were because he's like the one I remember on that team.
Yeah.
Was Swoosh still there?
I think they got rid of that European roster. I think they basically got rid of the entire European roster.
I thought
If anything, the only player that could have stayed might have been Tavik.
No, definitely not. Oh no, he was the bus driver. No, he did stay, didn't he? Oh fuck. Who played for Mayhem in Goats?
I want to say Mangachu was there for some reason.
Just for the viewers,
I think he's in
really wanna say
Toronto.
He was there.
for the viewers, if you want to get the most out of this segment, probably just look at the actual list of these players, just so like you can have the second-hand experience of just like them going, this player that was definitely on the roster definitely wasn't.
Dude, Fraggy was on the team. I'm telling you. Fraggy and Kib are both on this team.
No, Kib definitely was not. No shot.
I'm kidding. I'm joking
Okay,
because I was brought them up earlier. Was Neptuno on this team? Just add him anyway. Put him on there anyway.
Neptuno was on every roster ever.
Yeah. Fuck. Who played with Saya player? Who was on Mayhem's Goats lineup?
Spider.
Yeah. Oh. I don't fucking know. I feel like I remember them doing like a mid-season like swap, no?
I remember Chris was there. Chris,
Yeah.
Saya, Player, Fact, and Gravy. Those are the only 4 players I remember.
Was Apply there?
Was Paintbrush there?
No. No. I thought he started in Dallas. Was Dallas not his rookie year?
Maybe.
Or Glads? One of the two? I don't remember.
Just trying to remember people connected to McGravy.
Yeah. How many have we gotten so far out of X?
2, 4, 6, 8.
8 of what?
8 of wow.
We actually got 8. We have 8. I thought we only had like 4.
Oh no.
So 1, 2.
This one's tough. Because this is still McDonald's Mayhem.
Bro, this is so hard to count.
Chris makes sense.
Okay, it's got to be from some of these players will have been on this team. Okay, let's go through it. Kai, Shax, Gig, Dreamer,
Not Shaq.
McGravy, obviously.
Yeah.
Lastro, Rain.
No.
I feel like some of those guys.
Rain. I think Rain was. Oh, who's the fucking who's the flex support that like never played but everybody said was good? Byram. Is Byram there?
Oh, they're so good.
Gargoyle.
Yeah, Gargoyle. Yeah. Now it's coming to me. Yep.
Karayan.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
I can't
there you
believe you
go,
got
yeah.
Karayan, dude.
Yeah.
Holy.
I'm just going through all like the. I'll tell you. Do you know why I know Karayan? Because that year, people were like, "Oh, Pacific Contenders so bad." I'm like, "You motherfuckers! Karayan
Karayan's
came from
good.
Pacific Contenders. Karayan's an Overwatch League."
Yeah.
That's the reason I remember Karayan.
True.
So I'm not mad for you missing like on a couple, but you're missing 2 great memes.
2 great memes. Mayhem season 2. Byram crying. Oh, another scrim god, Zephyr. Was Zephyr there?
Yes.
Yes.
Another scrim god. Awesome guy. Surely awesome guys on this
No.
team. Or is that S&T?
I think that's
S&T, yes.
Yeah. I know Ryder was the coach.
Logix
Or
is on
one of
this
the
team.
coach.
Surely Logix is on this team.
I think he was. Was he?
Surely Logix was still on this team.
I don't remember. Fuck. I'm so sorry, Logix.
Everything is just bleeding into one, but no, he wasn't.
I think he was in Toronto.
No, that was this year, Joe. That was
Where
this
the
year.
fuck was Logix after Mayhem? I don't remember. Anywho. How many do we have left?
So you got 1, 2. I would say 3.
3 more.
3 more. What the fuck?
Oh, because you have to remember that they started with like a Korean team, and then they were like, "This sucks," and then they went like mixed,
And then they went Korean again.
and then they went
Didn't they?
Korean again later. I think in season 3. I'm not even gonna. I don't remember.
Okay.
I know they flip flopped. I don't remember which way to which, because fucking Bare Hands was there.
Wait,
Right.
sorry. 4.
4.
Yeah.
Christ.
Okay, somebody from this list. Yaki, OG,
Oh.
Gangnam Jin, Checkmate.
Oh.
Who am I missing? I can't even name this year's Florida Mayhem. I can't even name this year's Florida Mayhem.
Slime.
Oh, that's right. Slime was it. Yeah, that's right. Slime.
All season 3.
Definitely not. Yeah, all season.
Well, who was the other DPS outside of Checkmate and Yaki? Hisu. No, fuck.
No. Somehow we're guessing season 3 now.
Pink team.
Bro,
Oh shit. I can't even.
it is Pink
Bro,
Team,
I
yeah.
can't even name this year's Florida Mayhem. I'm not gonna lie. I can't do it.
Right.
I can't do it.
That would be a
fuck.
fucking baller move. Like, once again, like, if anyone pulled off a recent season team and we couldn't name it, it would be fucking fire.
It's tough. Yeah, there's some hard ones. A lot of obscure players.
So come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Okay,
tapping out.
so
for the sake of time.
EQB.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
okay. You're forgetting DPI.
Who the fuck's that?
Flex.
I don't know who the fuck that
Was
is.
he not like a flex?
Swan.
Yeah.
No, I'm never gonna get that.
Fucking Fate.
Oh, that's right. He did start on.
And
too.
what's the meme, Joe? Tell us the meme boy. Koala boy.
Zephyr.
Koala man.
Oh, Hagelpyun.
There you go.
Yeah,
Hugger.
yeah.
Yeah. Nah, that was the asshole version of this game, by the way. I chose hard
That one
mode
was
and went like,
hard.
please name 2.5 rosters under this one question. Like, that's a total dick move.
That was tough. We got most of them though.
Yeah.
We got most of them. Had to work through it. Got hung up on some.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Get one for you guys.
Right.
Okay, am I
Yeah,
doing one
Go.
now?
Go.
If you got one, yeah, go.
Okay, this one's gonna be really interesting.
Let me
I
front
want you
run
to-
to this one, Joe. I'll try
Do
to.
you what?
I'll be the first to wreck my brain and just rattle the obvious ones
Okay.
down.
Okay.
Okay. Please name for me.
Yeah?
Name for me next year's Hangzhou Sparkle.
Oh, you fucking asshole.
2022 Hangzhou Sparkle.
Gushue Architect. Fuck. Fuck, bro. Why did I want to go first? Gushue Architect, fucking
Shy.
Shy, of course.
The fucking cracked kid from GC Busan Wave. What's his name? He played for Billy. His echo was very good. I kept telling him to go to Toronto. Why am I blanking on his name?
Do we even know everyone on that roster already?
Probably not, but from what they have,
They
so
have
far,
a completed team. They have a
they
completed
do.
team. Yeah.
They do. Bro, what the fuck was this kid's name?
Is this
I am so
7
close.
players or more?
9 players.
Fine.
Oh, fuck my. Oh.
Oh, who is this DPS?
Oh fuck! You guys have like 2 players out of 9. It's like, oh shit. Oh fuck.
I'm hung up on this fucking echo player.
No,
That I can't remember.
Fuck it. We're going somewhere else. So
Okay.
let's go tanks. Who's the off tank? Burner.
Bernard and Liga.
Liga.
Are still
Yeah.
there. Yeah. I know support's changed. Who do
Did they
have
get
as
Molly or
support?
something? Is that a trade, Molly?
I think.
Molly? Question mark.
Just put it down. Right next to Neptuno. I'll never get the main support.
It's not IDK, right? Like,
No, he retired.
um,
And before he didn't, and I'm just a dickhead.
do they have a second main tank? No.
Oh my. No.
They already have
Actually,
two
they have-
off tanks. They don't need more, right?
Yeah.
So we need supports, man. Bebe is not anymore with that team.
No, it hasn't been for a long time.
Maybe it wasn't even
Ollie-
on that team this year.
No. Coldest is gone because he's on fucking Valiant now.
Who's the active fucking flex support for Hangzhou Sharge? Who played this year?
Who? Which
Yeah.
team?
The Spark.
So, Spark, sorry, yeah.
Fuck, I can't even name this year's Hangzhou Spark. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell.
I don't remember. Oh,
This year they had MCD.
I know.
Oh, true. But they had someone else, right? Coldest. Fuck.
Coldest.
Yeah.
Um,
But he's gone. He's on Valiant. It's some contenders player that I just don't know. I mean, I'm trying to remember some of the shit that AVRL was saying. Oh, no.
this is evil, bro. This is evil.
No.
You thought you had the most evil ones.
This
I
one's
had one up my
hard.
sleeve.
Well, Alpha Yi?
Alpha is the Echo player
There you
that I
go.
was thinking of. There you go. Okay.
Mm,
Billy. Who's on Billy? There's no shot you know that question.
mm.
Who's on Billy?
So you got 6 out of 9.
All right,
Fuck.
almost there. Almost.
So we
there.
don't need tanks. We need DPS and supports, right?
I think we need. I think most of them are supports.
Yeah.
At least 2 are supports for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know where the other one is. I know they're going to be contenders players that people are screaming about, and I just did not fucking pay attention enough. I'm trying to think.
Mm. Us just moaning, like, please write in the
It's
comments
not-
how
it's
great
not-
this content this is.
It's not like Krillin. It's not like Quasid. It's not.
Oh.
It was on Talon. Who's on O2? Fuck. I don't know. I'm stumped.
Wait,
I
where
have
did
no clue.
Aldo go again?
Although is on Toronto.
Fuck.
I don't remember. Yeah, I tap out. I don't know.
Give us a hint on the supports.
Both contenders players.
Fuck. Probably
Do we know what
contenders.
team?
Or the scene.
Asian teams.
Yeah.
No shit. It's going to be fucking Kellex, you know?
So that rules out Calyx, that rules out Neptuno.
Yeah. No
Oh
Kim,
shit,
no
it can't be
Fraggy.
Neptuno, right?
Yeah.
You're also missing 1 DPS.
Oh no shit.
Okay.
I don't
It's
know.
it's a combination of, they're not all from one region. There's Chinese contenders players and Korean contenders players in here.
Is Hoyo-chan there?
Who?
Super Rich?
Super Rich is Valiant, right? No?
No. I think he's the main support now that I think about it.
Okay.
Fuck.
Mm,
The other 2 are Korean players that I just don't remember.
mm,
It's not Cho-Rong. It's not. Oh, who was the Brig? Brig? Ever was talking about a big Brig. It was like the Brig that like shit on fucking Shockwave. Anybody remember that story?
That's Chorong. That's Chorong.
Oh, is it Cho-Rong? Okay, never mind.
mm.
I don't know.
Last 2 guys are from contenders China.
Really?
Oh shit.
You got the Korean player.
Mm.
Just because I said it's from contenders China doesn't mean
He's
the
not.
nationality is obvious.
Yeah.
Mm. I feel like the DPS is a player that was already on this team this year.
Okay.
Mm. But of course, like if you're playing behind Shy, that probably sucks a lot for you.
Shy Architect, Alpha Yi.
Yeah, I don't. I think we gotta solve unless we want viewers to just like be completely uninterested
I
at
don't
this point.
know. Yeah, I'm stumped.
I'm milking this one for time, guys. We're getting to 3 hours.
We still got one more.
I'm getting there.
I don't know. Yeah.
We gone.
Yeah,
We're done.
yeah, we're done.
We're done. The DPS is pineapple,
Ah,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah.
and the
PLG.
flex support is irony.
Okay, I had no
I
chance.
would have never gotten that.
That's actually that is also a Mandela effect type of fucking. Now I've figured out that it is actually a simulation. You got to be smarter when editing the Matrix because that shit didn't happen like yesterday. Like, who the fuck is irony?
You say you were looking for players from Billy Billy. Irony is one of the guys from Billy Billy.
Yeah, and I don't know. Pineapple makes a lot of sense, and I definitely should have got that. I would have never gotten irony.
Okay, Joe, last one.
All right, last one.
Hit us.
I'll try and get you a good one. Let's do. Oh, okay. Let's do, what is it? Season 3 Vancouver and after Runaway. So
Oh, you dickhead.
not counting the Runaway.
So, Shockwave.
Damn it, that was my one. Damn it.
Yeah.
Fire.
Nope.
Fuck, that was.
Here we go. Aspire, Massa,
No.
Attack,
No.
False.
No. Those are all
What?
Shockwave.
You're going this year. You're going this year, not season 3.
Okay. Rolf, Fried, Fire,
Rolf is there.
Teru, Changsik.
No.
Changsik was there, right?
Changsik was
Later
there.
on.
Season 3.
Right? Oh.
Season
Teru,
3.
Changsik. Who am I missing?
Thinking of season 4.
All right.
So you've got Rolf and you've got Shockwave. That's 2 of.
It's all the second
with
win.
D.
It's all the second
with
win
D.
guys.
Tracer player.
Sooner.
Suna's there.
Sooner's a Tracer player.
3 of 7.
Dalton.
4 of 7.
Dalton. Oh, yes, that's right. He was on this year's team.
Yep.
What about him?
Fuck, who was the support? Main support. Is it
Kaka?
not Fire?
Cup. 5 of 7.
Car. Holy.
5 of 7. You're missing the tanks.
The tanks.
Well, some dude that retired. Some dude that retired mid-season.
Correct. You are on the right track.
Earthquake.
That does sound like
Is that his
somebody's name. No,
Is that his name?
Fuck, who was
Shockwave. No, Shredlock. There we go.
Shredlock.
Shredlock.
6 of 7. You're missing the flex tank.
Flex tank. Fuck. Fried Wiener? No.
No.
What?
Fisher.
Wait.
Gravy. No, he wasn't. He didn't play that year. Or he played for a different team that year.
Finzi?
Nope.
I don't think I'm gonna get this one. This is too hard.
Here's a hint for specifically Yiska.
Yeah.
Because I know that you've interviewed I'm blanking on his name. You've done a lot of interviews with somebody that is currently coaching from this region or this part of the world.
North America.
So it's Australia. Right?
No, French man coaching in somewhere.
Nico.
No.
Nico.
Damon.
No. Hold on, let me just get the names because I'm absolutely stumped on. Paris.
I'll get amazed.
Yeah, get amazed. Thank you.
So get
Get
amazed.
amazed currently is coaching
Eagle
where?
Gaming. Oh,
Kasa.
No,
Kasa.
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 Yes.
so
KSA is your 7 of 7.
there you go. Wow, that's also a hard mode.
That was tough.
Goddamn.
I didn't have most of those. I was just naming off all the Vancouver players from 2022 and 2021. I was like hoping some of them would stick.
You chipped away. That was a good. That's a pretty
My
brilliant
strategy. That's my
You
strategy.
got Rolf. Suna was, I think, spurred on from that. Shredlock probably would have got there eventually, but
I just know it was some guy. It was the tank was some guy that retired halfway through, and I was like,
Yeah.
who the fuck was it?
It's also like, would Valiant season 1 have been hard?
Valiant season 1.
That's the fake Kareev. That's the fake
yeah.
Kareev duo. Custer was there, traded for Unko.
Yeah.
I think Finzi was there as well. Numlocked. You had Space. You had all these. You
Izzyaki.
had a shitload of bench players like Izzyaki there as well.
Yeah.
They had an
Soon.
entire B team.
Soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm just
Stuke was
going-
coaching.
I'm just going like in a random order, but yeah, I mean,
Um,
season 1 Valiant had a lot of players. I
Oh,
think they
fucking
did have, like,
Toxic Lord. Tox Lord. Off tank. Envy.
Envy.
Envy. Who is the North American DPS player that everybody was super high on that we all thought was like kind of mid?
Hmm.
Oh, you're gonna know him when I say him. Fuck. Grim Reality.
There you go.
Thread.
Yeah.
Verbo.
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 Verbo was on that shit. Yeah. Fucking wait, space, right?
Yeah.
I
Space
said
is there.
space. I said
Yeah,
space.
he
Oh,
said space.
Right. Verbo definitely. Was that all?
I think we got most of the Koreans.
Eric, please double check. Okay, we are missing a main support.
Main support. Custa?
I said custom.
We already got
Okay.
Custa.
Yeah.
Cookie was that the year after? Cookie
Oh,
was the year
Cookie.
after, I think.
Right?
Yeah, I think he was.
Cookie was
the
Cookie was season 2.
Yeah, he
that's
was in
true.
Goats.
Mm. Yeah, Cookie
Cookie
was
would be
on
on-
Soul.
Soul. Yeah.
Do we count Unco because he was there at the start?
Technically-
Unco was there, but yeah, no, that count.
It's traded for Custer, so I
Traded
count
for
both.
Custa.
I count both in a way.
Was that Korean main support?
Well, I mean, the main support would have been Verbo.
He wasn't the starter. He was the bench.
Yeah, I think he was
True,
phased out pretty
true.
soon.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't remember. Season 1 Valiant. Who was their starter? Because I know Custa got there. And didn't he just start then?
Custer was the starter when he got there.
Right. So who would have
Maybe
been-
maybe it is just Custer then.
I think so. I think Verbo must have started and then Custa got there and benched him.
Yeah, maybe.
I like the Finzi Izzyaki midseason. I feel who was on there?
I think-
Oh, Numlocked.
I said Numlocked.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did have Numlocked, yeah.
So
Who's
your
on their B
all your supports are you have Kareev, Izzyaki, Custer, Verbo. That's 4.
Yeah.
Tanks you have Numlocked, Fate, Space, Finzi. That's 4.
Yeah.
DPS you have Soon, Grim Reality.
Oh. Silk Thread, right?
I think I said Silk Thread. Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah,
But I
he
also
did.
can't remember if he was on that team or LA Gladiators. I think he was on
Same.
both.
I think he was on both.
So yeah, let's just say that those 3. And then KSF was the
KSF.
last
Oh.
one. Yeah. Was
KSF there?
I think he was, yeah. I feel like he was. Or maybe that was that
Think
season
so.
2 or 1. Fuck.
Wait, I think we did. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm looking now because otherwise it's a little lame how long we're sitting on this. But I think we missed a flex support, right? Not a main support, but a flex support, right?
We said
Outside of
Izzyaki,
Kareev
we
and
said
Izzyaki.
Unco, we said Kareev.
Oh, we did. Okay,
Okay.
we definitely. Wait, no. Wait, but Verbo wasn't the main support the entire time in season 1, surely, right?
I think he started and then Custa benched him. When he
And
got
what
there.
happened
'Cause
after he
Custa-
was traded?
Who?
Custa.
No, Custa came from Dallas.
Oh, he came. True.
Yes, he came. Custa came.
dumb.
Yiska, come on, he came.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. 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 Yep.
I think we got it. I think we got it.
I
I think we got
that's
it.
most of it.
Yeah.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We failed. We missed one player.
Oh.
Funny.
No, that was season 2,
I was gonna
right?
say that. No. He came from Seoul, right? I think he
Yeah, I
came from
thought in
Seoul.
season 2, but yeah, maybe mid-season.
No.
Yeah.
Mid-season. Yep.
Yeah,
I remember that because he didn't last very long on Seoul.
That's right. I forgot about Bunny. But we got everyone else. We literally got
Yeah.
everyone else. We
Not
even
bad.
got trades. We even got some trades in there, which is kind of crazy.
B team was tough. Had to think about that, but
I think we got the big team. We got, you
Yeah.
just had to
Just
nail down
working
the
through it
verb
all.
and unlocked and stuff.
yeah.
Space was on the B team only because he was underage.
Mm.
Interesting times.
That was fun.
Right.
I'd do that again.
It was long,
yeah.
thankfully. No.
True.
We somehow did it, guys. We actually summoned
it's
it
all
into
planned.
existence. Unreal.
It's all planned.
Unreal.
But the next time, so I hope you had, I should have said this at the start, but I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. And I think the next episode takes place after the roster deadline. So, I mean, that is going to be a really fun episode because we get to go through every single team. That's going to be the start of like some hopefully really damn good content. And also because we'll be in January, eventually we're going to get to the stage where we're going to have to know what the fuck that content creator news was.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's got to be coming. So we will find out what New York and Philadelphia are working with very soon, and whatever other teams are still finishing their rosters. And I think it's only just those two teams now. But yeah, we're going to be officially looking over some rosters. So if you obviously didn't get to hear any roster information this week because there was barely any to talk about. Next week, you're going to get it all. So next week's the one you want to be tuning in for to finally get all of that talk. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Much love as always. This has been episode 207. We'll see you next week in the new year. 208 is happening in 2022. I can't wait. Bring on next year. I'm done with 2021. Hope you guys had a great year. Thank you for being with us for all of 2021 and lots more to look forward to in the next year. Peace out.
Peace.